Wide open Torrence. Oh, baby, touchdown. How do you leave the best receiver in the NAIA that wide open? You show, and that's what we do. Cat.
You're proud of me?
And it's caught! Oh my goodness! Troy Torrence comes down with it!
Welcome all to Bankroll Blitz, Week 17 ahead of us. If you are joining us now to catch our Monday night live stream, there will be no Monday night live streams this week or next week, as we will be filming Bankroll Blitz. So we apologize to those of you who are looking for our live stream. We just can't shoot on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So this is what you're going to get. And this is the most important show of the week for our bottom dollar and our cash flow. It means the world to our bankroll. So that's why we are here breaking down all the Week 17 games, except, of course, two important games that we can't cap. That is Packers, Vikings, as well as Raiders, Saints, because we will not know exactly what happened in the game that's going to be going off in 17 minutes or so. That is the situation.
We both have action in that game too.
We do. So we can touch on that very quickly. I am on the under. I bet it on Tuesday. It was one of the totals that went against me. We will speak of those totals here. Let me just move back to Week 16 and see what we're at. Yeah, dealing with a 43.5, slightly juiced to the over. It sucks. It's gone up 1.5 since I bet it. Troy, your action for the Monday Nighter?
I'm also on the under 43.5. I'm considering adding another unit, maybe on Saints team total under, because when you dig into this matchup and you look at how home favorites, double-digit home favorites perform if they're not in dome and it's after Week 10, because I'm trying to filter down to when we're going to get cold, shitty weather, two teams, one big favorite, massive favorite. What happens? The games go under at a ridiculous rate, up and down the list to the very last iteration. It's a beautiful thing. I think under is a great play. Even when the market has ticked to the over historically, in this price range, in this type of market, we've gone under at a ridiculous rate. So feeling pretty good about the under.
I'm nervous about all my action come kickoff, and I'm going to try not to focus on it too much. We've got a lot of work to do here this evening, and I'm excited about the opportunity to do the work with you guys. Thank you for joining us here on Bankroll Blitz Week 17 here on a Monday. Shout out to the cappers joining us. Truth Teller in the house. G. Martinez, Jim W. Putt, T. Moss. Sean Higgs has his Monday Night Football action in there as well. Shout out to our friend Higgsy. Cheshire Cat in the house. Brad Oliver. We got a great group of cappers ready to rock with us. So we thank you all for joining us. We have G. Martinez, Jim W. Putt, Old E rocking with us, Tori Coker, The Juice, Elaine Coleman. Have a wonderful holidays and a Merry Christmas, Elaine. Thank you for rocking with us throughout the year. You always bring such positive energy. Very thankful for it. Omer Gaudet, we're ready to rock. Coming to us from France, we have Von Polo in the house, Jim Dewigger. Great group. Thank you guys for rocking with us. It is time to get to work. Let's talk about the week that was, because I had more action in Week 16 than I had on any week this year. 3 bets I left off the board, and that frustrated me. I went 2-1 on the bets that I didn't move on. I went 10-9. I'm up 0.28 units, but I still have a unit in play here on the under. It was very, very frustrating week. I felt like the capping was much better than the betting was. And that's something that used to haunt me in horse racing as well, where I would cap a race really well or cap a game really well, but wouldn't make the most sophisticated bet available for me. And that I felt the pain of that this week. I lost with the Denver Chargers under 42 at minus 106, but I didn't send in my Pops' $300 bet on the Broncos, so that was, helpful. Cash with the Ravens double, the Chiefs double, and the Chiefs -3. I'm looking forward to engage my thoughts on the Chiefs right now, as I was bullish on them. Unfortunately, I messed up my bullishness on the Chiefs by taking the Houston Kansas City under 43, which lost. Eagles -3 lost, and the Baltimore Philly parlay lost. And Troy and I were both 500 this week. And if Jalen Hurts hadn't been concussed, and you could say, look, Pickett they got 33 points on the board, but Jalen Hurts controls the flow of the game. He keeps the opposition off the field for extended periods, and I think it would have been an easy casher. Colts -3 cashed. Colts double cashed. The New York Giants Atlanta under 40.5 -110 lost. Look, it was a mistake. I believe that I'm going to beat the lines, and it was a mistake getting in on Tuesday at the 40.5. But this time, at least, I moved again on the 43, and both of those would have cashed if it wasn't for 2 pick sixes. But those things happen. So I lose the under 40.5, but I cash the under 43. I lost the Minnesota Seattle under 42.5, and breaking down that game, tight. I think it was the right side. I think it was the right bet, but of course, right bets don't matter if you don't cash them. Tampa Bay Dallas over 48 cashed. Detroit Chicago. My Detroit Chicago plan was atrocious, so that was the big mistake on the card. Detroit Chicago under 47.5, and the Bears +7 was just god awful. Bengals -8.5. I'm upset that I didn't move on the Bengals double. I thought that double at -150 was too expensive, but what is that too expensive for a gift? An absolute gift in the palm of my hands, and I think -150 is too expensive. That's still eating at me. The money I left on the table after good capping is just so frustrating. Raiders -2.5, casher. Buffalo, New England over 46.5. One of the bets that I stayed off is the Patriots +14, which still pisses me off. And then Jonathan Taylor, I broke it down with you guys. I only ended up moving on his touchdown, which was a mistake too. What did he run for? 200+ yards and 3 touchdowns? 10-9 plus 0.28 units. Troy, how was the weekend for you, my man? Are you muted, my guy? Sorry, I have to look over.
Yeah, I'm on mute. That's my bad. We had a lot of similar action between the Ravens and the Eagles and, the Cowboys Bucks. We had a lot of the similar action. I feel like I was robbed, to be honest, especially with the Eagles, especially how it ended. And we all know that Jalen Hurts going out cost us the cover 100% of the time there. I added a bunch of player props. I've been very hot in the prop markets. Even last night, Sunday Night Football, I wanted to add McMillan, wanted to add Ferguson, and I wanted to add receiving for Bucky. They all cashed. So I left a lot of money on the table too. One more play open tonight. I added the Bucks. That was my big downfalls. I added the Bucks late, and I would probably do it again based on the circumstances I was given. So I could live with that. One bet left, and it might end up being a break-even week if we cash this under.
I also snaked 100 off my pops when I was on the Cowboys last night. I didn't bet or make it official, but we went head-to-head on the Cowboys. I just felt like, if my pops is going to languish with the public, he should lose like the public loses, and I should try to teach him a lesson while I'm in his house. Spenny Penny Bombs with his action here. Christopher Ing, love to you. It's holidays can often bring out grief, and I know that you are standing by your mom's side as she's sick right now. And the only thing, words don't help in times like this, but I can tell you this, Christopher Ing, that we're here for you. We love capping with you. You bring so much positive energy into our group, and you're such a great thoroughbred capper. I always love hearing your takes. And, if we could all just take a second and send out as much positive energy and healing energy, or whatever you do, if you pray or whatever you do, if you could send it out to Christopher Ing's mom, just thinking about the family and thinking about you here. And still, even when he talks about what he's going through, he still talks about the positivity. He still says planning 2026 trip to the Kentucky Derby. I love that. RVD 420. We also have our guy Nut Flush Allen. Shout out to Nut Flush Allen, the only one with a perfect week in the NFL Cappers contest. If the Eagles had cashed, I would have had a perfect week. Shout out Nut Flush. He was on the Commanders in that one. Great to see all of you guys. Now, if you guys want to talk about your action here in the Saints game live, please do. Don't feel any, even if we're on different topics, which we will be, talk about your action here in the chat. And, feel free to cap the game, talk about what's going on live. I'm going to try not to focus on it, but just, this is your show as much as it's our show. The Juice, Bruce Hallett, Spenny Penny Bombs. Great to see all of you guys. Dougie Wise, Belgoody, great to see you. Thank you guys for joining us. So then here with Troy's card, Troy went 13-13 down 1.46 units. And, we just capped the card. I mean, it's probably a dumb thing to say, but we capped the card better than that. And so let's make a point of not leaving any money on the table here because we've done the work and we have a great group of cappers in the chat. And I am so ready to get to work. Are you ready, Troy, my man?
I'm ready to get to work, brother. Let's do it.
Let's go. We start Wednesday, December 25th, 1 p.m. Eastern. Kansas City Chiefs 14-1, 6-1 on the road at the Pittsburgh Steelers, 10-5, 5-1 at home. Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 37 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 2-mile-per-hour winds. Let's get into the line history here for this one and the cash flow. Set it up and have Troy discuss his plan of attack. First off, this total is at 44. It's juiced to the over. It's just been climbing. It opened up at 43. In fact, it hasn't just been climbing. The first move took 8 hours to come. It was last night at 8:52 p.m., and it was a 5-cent move to the under, which, Troy, I agree with. Then it started moving to the over, and now it looks like a 44.5 is going to come on the board. Saying I agree with it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to bet it. I really use this show to finalize my action, and I, in fact, haven't moved on anything in NFL for week 17. Right now, Pittsburgh is +3 at -114. They opened up at +2.5. My pops asked me what I thought about that line because it was both shorter than what we expected on the Chiefs, and I thought it's a red flag. The books are putting out a line where they know all the money is going to come on the Chiefs, and that's a red flag. Despite it moving towards the Chiefs, I still see it as a very dangerous, uncomfortable situation. Let's get to the cash flow here. From a cash flow perspective, we have 57% of the tickets and 30% of the cash on the Chiefs. That was what shocked me. And that's what I told him. I was like, how are 43% of the tickets already on the Steelers after what we've seen the Steelers look like over the past 2 weeks against top competition? 70% of the cash is also on the Steelers, so big bets have come in on them. And that, I thought this would be an 80%, and I even said that when we talked about the line, 80% of the tickets, 80% of the cash, I thought would be on the Chiefs. So that was a bit of a surprise. 41% of the tickets and 51% cash is on the under. The Kansas City Chiefs passing offense, and if you go down their offense statistically, it's just their third down offense that separates them from the pack. It's the best in the league at 51%. Their red zone offense has been a problem all year, 26th. They're 51.67% of the time scoring touchdowns. It's been a problem all year. And their passing offense and rushing offense, by way of yards, is really pedestrian. 12th passing, 15th rushing. Their pass defense is 17th. They allow 215.8 yards per game. Their rush defense is third. We see that in a lot of the top teams in the NFL because they're generally ahead and there's not a lot of running on them in the second half. Their red zone defense is 8th at 51.1%. So I know this is going to be a very interesting show, and it starts off interesting with the Chiefs. As I have all year believed that, they weren't as good as their record indicates. And I think that's fair to continue to say. Also, shout out to Crystal Craig. Happy holidays, Crystal. It's great to see you. Slow jams are snow in the house. The weather, 37 Fahrenheit, slow jams, 37 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 2 miles per hour. But from what I've seen this year, Troy, the Chiefs are the most complete team in football. They may not be the best, but they are the most complete from top to bottom. This is an interesting situation with both teams coming in off short rest, and the Chiefs can clinch the postseason by a home field advantage with the victory here, something I believe they desperately want. The Chiefs come in off the 27-19 victory at home over Houston on Saturday. Mahomes was 28-41 for 260 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He also ran 5 times for 33 yards and a touchdown, all with a high ankle sprain. When he ran in for that 15-yard touchdown, it was game, set, match. I was cashing on my Chiefs action. There was no doubt about it. Xavier Worthy led receivers with 7 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown. He also ran 3 times for 10 yards. And Hollywood Brown caught 5 passes for 45 yards in his season debut after recovering from a shoulder injury. All of a sudden, this offense that is thought of as the worst in the Mahomes era has weapons everywhere. Depth everywhere. Kareem Hunt had 11 carries for 55 yards and a touchdown, caught 2 passes for 24 yards. As a team, they ran 28 times for 124 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 of 13 on third down, 3 of 5 in the red zone. Pass rush was tough throughout. They only managed 2 sacks, but 11 quarterback hits. Held the Texans to 1 of 3 in the red zone. Hicks and McDuffie had interceptions. Now, Jack Cochran, linebacker Jack Cochran, fractured his ankle on special teams in the first quarter. His season is likely over. It's not great, but, it's not too bad. It's not going to hurt them too bad. He's not a starter at linebacker. Right tackle Juwan Taylor left in the third quarter, and Chris Jones sustained a calf strain. Both are listed as questionable. Very important to find out how they look. And this is Monday. We're a day earlier than usual and 2 days away from the Wednesday injury report, but we'll get the main injury report here tomorrow for the Chiefs. Chamari Connor, their defensive back, remains in concussion protocol. Let's talk about the Steelers here. Nobody handled the Steelers better in the last 2 weeks than Troy Torrence. Just fading them in every possible situation and getting paid, for it. They come off the 34-17 loss at Baltimore on Saturday. Passing offense, 25th in league, 198.9. It looks so bad without Pickens in. Now we think Pickens will be in, and the line's kind of telling us Pickens will be in on Thursday. Rushing offense, 11th, 126 yards per game. It's pretty dynamic. And if Cordell Patterson's back, we saw him catch a pass. Now they're going to have 3 running backs that can do the job. Red zone offense, just 30th. It's a problem, 48%. Third down offense, 13th. Passing defense, 20th. Rush defense, 7th. Red zone defense, 13th. And their third down defense is 5th. Russell Wilson was 22 of 33 for 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. That interception was returned to the house by Marlon Humphrey. He also lost a fumble. He looks very pedestrian without Pickens. Pickens out for a second straight week. Calvin Austin was the most dangerous Steeler receiver with 4 catches for 65 yards. But if he doesn't beat you, blowing past the safety over the top, there's not a lot. Now, he's looking better than I've ever seen him look, but he's certainly not a WR1. Tomlin said Sunday that Pickens is among the team's injured players who has a real chance to play against the Chiefs on Wednesday. We think he plays. The offense continues to be driven by backs Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris. Warren ran 12 times for 48 yards, caught 5 for 44. Steelers 4 of 10 on third down. We're a perfect 2 of 2 in the red zone, something we rarely see. We have a vividness bias of the Steelers' vaunted pass rush. You've got to try to erase that. They are mediocre this year. They rank 16th in the league with 2.4 sacks per game. They finished that game against Ravens without a single hit on Lamar Jackson. Highsmith was credited for a sack. So you've got to, I know that when we close our eyes or when we're capping, we think of the black and yellow pass rush being so dynamic. It's not. The Steelers allowed the Ravens to put up 418 total yards, 6.7 yards per play, 3 of 5 in the red zone. Minkah Fitzpatrick had the game-changing interception that was quickly negated by Russell Wilson throwing a pick 6. Pittsburgh had entered the game with a plus 18 margin in turnovers. You could say it's because they got ball hawks on defense. I think it's lucky. I shouldn't make too big of but to have that big of a turnover plus turnover ratio, or margin, I should say, I think that's going to regress to the mean a little bit. Steelers cornerback Joey Porter was said to have hurt his calf. It turns out it's his knee that's bothering him, so we don't think he's going to play on a short week. Ben Skronik hurt his hip. That's not as big of a deal. There you go, Troy Torrence. I'm so interested in this football game, and I can't wait to hear your breakdown. Take it away. The floor is yours, Chiefs Steelers.
I can't believe what I'm hearing from you, Jim. I can't believe what I'm hearing from I guess I can't believe it from Cheshire, because he's the biggest Chiefs backer, deep throating Mahomes, deep throating this team all day long for 2 years now. Yeah. Okay, listen. The Chiefs are whatever they are right now. They are a complete team. I don't know if it's because of their record, but if you noise adjusted scores and look at this team at face value, this is a 500 football team. This is a 500 team. They should have lost as double-digit favorites. They should have lost as massive favorites back-to-back over again. It's nonstop. This team is completely fraudulent. I'll say this right now. I will not be on this show if the Chiefs three-peat. If they win the Super Bowl again, you will not see me on the show. You probably never see me again because I would have lost my house, all my financial assets. Like, that's how far I'm willing to go because I'm certain that this team is fraudulent. And you know what? I guess after round one, if I continue to see the favorability that the refs in the NFL continue to give them, because it's clear as day, you just can't fight facts. Like, you could talk about all the shit you want. You could beat around the bush, and you can say what I'm saying is excuses, but it's clearly not. I have sources that I could cite, and I thought this game was interesting off the top because it's not like I'm super high on the Steelers. You know, I've been fading the shit out of the Steelers after buying the Steelers at one point in the season. And I don't know what people are going to do. I know it's early in the week, but this game's right around the corner. Right now, it looks like a lot of sharp action on the Steelers. That's been favorable for the Steelers historically in the markets. Home dogs of 3 or less, especially when the line's moving away from them, surprisingly. It's been very favorable for the Steelers, and I'll cite that source too. Oh, I don't know what people are going to do. You got the Steelers and Tomlin as a home dog. I know that's a huge narrative, and you got the Chiefs and, Mahomes is a favorite under a field goal. Both these teams are pretty equal, pretty mediocre. And talking about the pass rush for the Steelers, I would disagree. And so would PFF. PFF has this team graded as the number one pass rush overall. Maybe there is some bias. I don't know if they're number one pass rush, but you can clearly see that it makes a huge impact on the game because they always have a tight end. They always have a running back. They're always chipping TJ Watt. They're always doing things as part of their scheme. And that's why the Steelers defense has been at least formidable this season, is because you have to account for that. You have to allocate your assets to stop the pass rush. And that's what people are doing. But I think the Steelers injury report is sketchy too. Pickens, like, we expect Pickens to play this week, but it's a hamstring, man. Like, that's really difficult to deal with. This is a must-win game, obviously, for both teams in some way, shape, or form. I think the Chiefs could easily clinch next week. I don't think they're going to be going balls to the wall to clinch in Pittsburgh. Like, is that really a get right spot? I don't know how to say that the right way, but yeah, multiple injuries in the secondary for the Steelers is obviously hampering my ability to want to take the Steelers outright on the spread or outright on the money line. But I personally believe that as long as I get a healthy defensive front, I expect the defense to be solid in this matchup. We know that the Chiefs' offense has been underwhelming, and look what they did last week with all the weapons and all the tools at their disposal. They're only able to put up a league average yards per play and EPA per play. I mean, call me biased, but clearly, like, this is not the Chiefs team we've grown to expect. I'm on the Steelers with the teaser leg. I teased them with the next game we're going to talk about. I got them at 8.5.
Didn't you think that you should wait because the public was going to move on the Chiefs at -2.5?
Yeah, I did. I thought I should wait, and if I do get the 3, I get a solid 3. I'll take a 3 too.
We have 3s. There's 3s everywhere.
Yeah, but it's kind of juiced at all the books I'm looking at right now, or I see it right before, because I'm kind of having a little bit of some trouble today. But
we got the minus.
Yeah, I got a -110 at ESPN Bet.
Yeah, and it's going to keep moving towards the Chiefs stall. So with this number one ranked pass rush,
I don't think that's their number one ranked. Like, I really don't, and I think it definitely reflects some of the strength of schedule, some of the offensive lines they played. But
because against good football teams and good offensive lines, I mean, how do you explain what the Steelers pass rush looked like the last 2 weeks against formidable opponents?
I thought it was completely underwhelming, and I was very excited because I seen that we were able to handle business in some solo situations, not on TJ Watt. You don't get TJ Watt in solo situations anymore. But with Highsmith, with Herbig, with some of their other pass rushers, they were getting held up one-on-one. So
when this line came out, obviously I thought Steelers are no bet.
No, Cheshire, it's square. Cheshire, you're being extremely square, like usual. I expect nothing less.
I thought Steelers are no bet because of the line. And I want to, I'm surprised it's not 80% on the Chiefs. I guess the Tomlin home dog will trump any of that. But what do you think of this total as it climbs up to 44 or 44.5?
Yeah, I was surprised to see that too, but I did hear some cappers, and I heard there was a big release on the over in this matchup earlier today. So I guess don't know what to think of it exactly because I don't think that the Chiefs are going to be able to put up big numbers. And I don't expect the Steelers to. Obviously, you've heard me talk shit about this offense, how they're completely fraudulent because of the third down EPA.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it's pretty nice weather. I mean, a little cold at 37 Fahrenheit, but no wind and no issues. I am interested in the under. I want to see how high it goes. I'm interested to see how high the Chiefs go as well. But I have every team. The Chiefs aren't great at anything except probably Mahomes or third down offense, best in the league, which is so crucial. But
that's their best. I mean, obviously, I believe in Mahomes, but I mean, come on, you get a lot of mulligans on third down if you're the Kansas City Chiefs.
No doubt there was some questionable calls as always, but I don't think the Texans are very good. I think that Pittsburgh is not that good, and we just saw that with what the Ravens and Eagles did to them. I'm very interested in this football game. I'm interested in the under, and I now do think that I might ask me what the chances were of the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, playing in the Super Bowl. And honestly, we could talk all about, but I think it's almost 50-50. That's what I think it is. And we'll see as we go through the playoffs, but I see this Chiefs team getting stronger and stronger as the year goes on.
They get the first round bye. I would say it is a little bit short of 50-50, but then they have to overcome the NFC, which I don't think they will this year.
Yeah, they're a dangerous, complete football team, and Hollywood Brown coming back. I just see them with weapons galore. In saying that, when I see a line come out at 2.5 for the Chiefs, I expect the books are doing it to get all the Chiefs money. So I would only think of the Steelers. I'm interested in the under. I'm not moving on the side. When this is a legit 3, are you going to move on the Steelers? Because I think you're going to be able to get the +3 at even money by kickoff.
Yeah, so do I. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I got an 8.5. I'm confident in that. I have database support with that certainly. So.
Wager Detective on the Steelers money line. It's a fascinating look, Wager Detective, and this is going to be such a fun game on Christmas Day. And I'm interested in being on the under. Very interested in it at this point, but it's climbing right now, and I'm very curious to see what the line ends up at. But when the Chiefs open up at -2.5, I don't think that's some sort of like mistake, So I know not to bet it right away, even if it is.
Jimmy, what do you think the record for the Kansas City Chiefs should be this season?
Maybe 9-4, 10-3. Sorry, we played 15 games. So 11-4 or 10. Yeah, 11-4. I think probably should be 11-4. And if they were 11-4, I don't think the outlook would be that much different. I think it really helps getting the bye for Mahomes' ankle and just to heal some injuries. But I don't. If they were sitting here right now, 11-4, I don't think the outlook would be that much different. Would you?
No, the outlook remains the same, in my opinion. But I would say that the record should be. I mean, I could wipe 4 games off the board right now. I would say 10-5. But.
Yeah, that could happen. Jim W. Putt says 43.5 seems high. I don't see their team going over 20. We should wait, just like Nutflush is saying. Just wait and be patient and wait here. We roll on. That is our Wednesday, December 25th, Christmas Day game at 1 p.m. It's a teaser leg for Troy, and I want to see how high this total gets because I'm going to try to get underneath it. We move on to the next spot on the board, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Baltimore Ravens 10-5, 5-3 on the road at Houston Texans 9-6, 5-2 at home at NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas. Let's get to the spread now and start with that. This is a 5. Now, we see a lot of 5.5s in the marketplace, but it's a 5 right now where I'm looking juiced to -113. It opened up -3 at -116. It's just moving. When this opened up at 12:37 p.m. yesterday at -3 at -16, 2 minutes later, it's a 3.5. 53 minutes after that, it's a pick 'em. Then 6 hours after that, it's heavily juiced to the 3.5, becomes the 4. I mean, you guys get the idea. It's just constantly moving towards the Ravens. We've moved 2 points now at this point. From a total perspective, we have a 46.5, and it's juiced to the under. This opened up at 47.5. We've dropped a point down to 46.5. When we get to the cash flow here, we have 29% of the tickets and 94% of the cash on the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, that's astounding. Imagine looking at a Texan spot, 71% of tickets, 6% of cash, 58% of tickets, and 73% of cash on the over, and we are dropping here. Slow Jams Arsenal says heavy hearts for Houston about Tank Dell. I think they stud up. You know, it doesn't matter, you know, when we talk about the actual athleticism and the actual game, it's more important to hear from, you know, an all-American receiver like Torrence and, you know, me. But when they're holding hands and crying around a knee injury, I think, well, how bad are they going to lose now? By how about? Like,
yeah, me too. Even my pop called me. He was like, "We're fucked," because he was like, "They're crying." Then they missed the extra point. I got my phone ring immediately. Like, we're done. Like, live bet Chiefs.
Yeah. It's you know, when Trevor Lawrence got knocked out, there was they tried to fight the opponent. Now I know it wasn't a situation when he was going for the touchdown that you want to fight the opponent, but you see the difference in the energy, and the Jaguars rally and the Texans fall apart.
Yeah, the demeanor was completely different. Yeah,
completely. And that's led by CJ Stroud, who, look, you know, he sees his best friend have a knee injury, and he starts sobbing. And I don't mean to make statements on that action and that, but I don't. That's not the edge I'm looking for my starting quarterback, man. But let's roll into this. Ravens passing offense 5th in the league, 242.5 yards per game. Rushing offense 2nd at 181.2. The red zone offense is the best in the league. They score touchdowns 72.9% of the time. Third down offense 3rd at 48.2%. Passing defense is still allowing the 2nd most yards in the NFL at 254.9. Rush defense 1st at 83.1. Red zone defense 16th. They allow touchdowns 57.8% of the time. Their third down defense 23rd. They allow conversions 41.2% of the time. Both of those are better numbers than they have been. It's moving in the right direction. They're coming off a dominant 34-17 victory at home over the Steelers. Baltimore clinched a playoff berth, now tied with the Steelers atop the AFC North. Dan Kelly helped push me in the direction, but I did move 2 weeks ago on the Ravens with max bet at plus 175 for the division. It was only plus 140 before this round. Like, it still confuses me before these games last week. But Lamar Jackson, 15-23 for 207 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, set a franchise record with his 37th touchdown pass of the season. Zay Flowers caught 5 for 100, and he looked like the man out there. A couple wide receivers really caught my attention this past week, and they're already great receivers, but Zay Flowers and CeeDee Lamb, because they were fighting through contact and handling adversity, and I was extremely impressed with both of them. Derrick Henry ran 24 times for 162 yards, caught 2 passes for 27 yards. He got the extra run because Justice Hill is left the game with the concussion. He's in concussion protocol. If you are looking at if Justice Hill is out of that would, like, if we were watching the game and betting it live together, I mean, it would have been an immediate bet on all Henry props. If Justice Hill is not playing this week, then Derrick Henry is going to get all the run. Exceeded 1,500 yards for the 4th time. He's 1,636 yards now this year. What a monster. Ravens put up 418 total yards, 6.7 yards per play, 4 of 10 on 3rd down, and 3 of 5 in the red zone. Held the Steelers to 4 of 11 on 3rd and 4th down on defense. They were great, but they did allow them to go 2 of 2 in the red zone. Ravens pass rush was strong throughout. 3 sacks, 6 quarterback hits. Of course, that Marlon Humphrey interception returning to the house was monstrous. Let's talk about the Texans. I'm low on them. Now, you know, we watched them lose Tank Dell. Significant knee injury. It was tough to watch and sad to watch. Of course, his best friend is CJ Stroud, and the team was very emotional, praying and crying. Without him in the lineup, the offense takes another hit. But they did claim today wide receiver Deontay Johnson off of waivers on Monday. Interestingly enough, the Chargers were the only other team to place a waiver claim on Johnson. Now Deontay Johnson, after looking like a fool over the last few weeks, with the Ravens, will probably have a lot of reason to, a lot to prove and a lot to step up for. Let's talk about the Texans here. Their passing offense, rushing offense, 18th in both yards a game, 18th, 213.7 yards through the air, 109.6 yards on the ground. Red zone offense, 22nd, third down offense, 15th. It's a very average offense now. Passing defense, 6th, rush defense, 11th. Red zone defense has been a problem all year for them, which is a surprise, 27th at 64.1%. But, when we watched Troy Torrance's college teammate, Jimmy Ward, go down with an injury, we know Jalen Petre's gone. I mean, they had no chance at that point. And we'll talk about, we know Petre's not coming back, but will Jimmy Ward come back? CJ Stroud was 23 of 39 for 244 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. There were times during that game he showed so much poise and made the perfect play. And then that second interception was just a horrific decision for him. Mixon ran 14 times for 57 yards, caught a 14-yard pass, 7 of 13 on third down, but they struggled in the red zone, just 1 of 3. And the pass rush struggled at times. We've not seen much of that this year. They're a very strong pass rush, 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits. Their pass rush tied for third, averaging 3.1 per game, but only have 4 sacks over their last 3 games. They allowed the Chiefs to go 7 of 13 on third down and 3 of 5 in the red zone. Their guard, Shaq Mason, left early in the game with a left knee injury. And of course, as I said, Jimmy Ward left with a foot injury. They're both listed as questionable this week. Here we go. Christmas Day game number 2, Troy. Take it away. Ravens, Texans.
Yeah, I was actually, initially when that game first started and I seen the Texans come out, they had some shallow delay design check downs to their offense. And I feel like we haven't seen a lot of that. And I got excited out of the gate. And then as that game developed, progressed, I seen some of the rough calls. I seen the injury happen. I seen, with Tank Dell and with Jimmy Ward. And I think Jimmy Ward with Petrie out, that's a huge loss. Tank Dell, huge loss. Deontay Johnson might have something to say about it. He's still a competent receiver. But this Texan, like you talked about, I mean, I've talked about these Texans too, that I was not very high on these Texans. I've been fading them quite a bit this season. Their offense is just unsettling. The offensive line continues to struggle. Stroud makes some miraculous plays, and I think he's maybe, getting sold down the river a little bit too much in his sophomore season. Maybe it was me personally selling down the river a little bit too much because he still does make some miraculous plays. But this is not the Texans' explosive offense that we've seen in the past. And the defense, I can't explain it. They just really struggle in the red zone week in and week out. And the Ravens, on the other hand, I feel like the red zone defense is going to be the difference in this game. The Ravens are going to be able to put up 6. The Texans are probably going to have to settle for more 3s, especially with their lack of ability to run the football with any type of success, and especially against this Ravens team who's pretty damn good against the run. The loss of Dell is a little bit too much. I really like the Ravens. I posted this bet earlier today. I got the money line parlayed with the 8.5 with the Steelers. I got the -4, -110. And I'm looking at it now, and I haven't looked at the lines all day. We're looking at a fucking hard 5.5. So I really like how this has been looking, this market, and I enjoy it. Oh, yeah, I got some numbers on this one, actually. Road favorites between 3.5 and 4. See, this is outdated now that we're up at 5.5, but I know it's not too far off of this 8-3 ATS spot specific, like very specific spot. I'm really starting to get specific with these profiles because the later in the season, things change. The markets change. The markets, there's like the markets develop as years go past, but also as the season goes on. So I like how this spot performed historically. I'm on the Ravens.
Great job grabbing the 4. I don't exactly know why I was hesitant. In my head, I still think that the Texans are strong at home, but you just have to go back a couple games to when they lose to the Titans straight up there. I guess that the Ravens double result would be the only thing left to attack.
And my problem is the Texans, some of their home performances were really heavily reliant on turnovers. If you go look at some of those games, I kind of dug through them this morning. It seemed like their home wins, even against the Lions where they covered ATS, even against the Bears, even against there's one more team, the Jaguars, was it? There were some key turnovers and key situations that led to them getting the win in the covers. Or win or covers, excuse me.
It's a fun breakdown, great breakdown. I feel like a bit of a schmuck right now, not already being on the Ravens. I don't understand why I was just like a deer in the headlights as I watched this line move so drastically.
It's because you're so sketched. You have a set of rules that has been why you're so successful. One of those rules is why you didn't move on one of the games we talked about before we started the show. We were live, but before we started breaking the games down, you brought up a spot, and it was one of your rules that held you back from doing that. And this is probably another one. You don't want to buy high on the Ravens after they just came off smacking up the Steelers, divisional high, right?
But we've been right about the Texans. They're not that good. About a month ago, I said on this show that I wouldn't want to fade them, in that first round at home. I don't feel that way anymore. I'd be happy to fade them. So
Bobby Slowick's catching a lot of heat for his situational play calling, especially on early downs, and I kind of disagree. I feel like it's just the part. There's parts that they struggle to generate line yards, so they're not going to be able to run the ball great. They're going to find some holes eventually in the game, but not consistently. The passing game, the route tree is broken.
I'd like to move on the double result as soon as possible. I'm gonna pull up and see what that is exactly. Of course, some books don't offer it because they're very advantageous, I think, to the gambler. I mean, I still cannot believe I thought the Bengals minus 150 was too expensive. I just want to slap myself.
This is the perfect range. I mean, I'm looking at double result minus 106 right now.
Yeah, it's a beautiful number. Well, I will move on that after the show. Great job by Troy grabbing the Ravens -4 at -110, and he also has the teaser Ravens money line, Steelers +8.5, and then our guy Gorky in the house. Shout out to Gorky. Thank you so much for the dono and always supporting the channel and always being a bastion of positivity. And I talk about that often, the being a positive capper in the chat. This is difficult what we are choosing to do, and the consequences of our action is real, and it can be detrimental, and it can also bring us great highs, but it can hurt our lives, and there's so much on the line. So I'm very thankful for the cappers that do pump positivity towards us, because it's a battle that we're facing. Gorky on Chiefs Ravens money line parlay. He also has a Seahawks Rams money line parlay, separate plays. Let's roll on to Thursday, December 26th. 8:15 p.m. Eastern. We have the Seattle Seahawks 8-7, 5-1 on the road. Chicago Bears 4-11, 4-4 at home. We're at Soldier Field in Chicago, Illinois. 41 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 7 miles per hour winds. I think I did a more good than bad last week, and probably deserved a better fate. But believing that the Lions could somehow be susceptible to the Bears at home, and the Bears would play hard and all that was just an atrocity.
But you think about what happened early there, Jim, with the two fumbles, and one of them was completely unforced. The other one was, just that fluke fumble that happens rarely, occasionally. And that changes the dynamic of trying to cover a 7-point spread.
It changed it dramatically, but it just
not to say we were on the right side in this one. I'm not trying to make that case.
No, I feel you. But it just that one, it was, I was not able to watch that game for very long. Let me put it that way. Let's talk about these Seahawks. They've now lost 2 straight after that 4-game winning streak. They're 1 game back of the LA Rams in the NFC West. Passing offense 4th in the league, 244.5 yards per game. Rushing offense 30th, 91.9. Kenneth Walker continues not to deliver. Now we don't know if he's going to be in the lineup. He has an ankle injury. He returned from the 2-game absence with a calf injury. He ran 8 times for 31 yards, caught 8 passes for 28 yards. It's just not enough. And Charbonnet has been a monster. I know he's probably championing Charbonnet right now, thinking he could be RB1 on the 26th. The red zone offense 8. Seriously, say something, Troy? Sorry, my man.
No, I didn't. No.
Okay, sorry, I'm tripping. Rushing offense. red zone offense 18th, third down offense 24th. So there's problems with the Seahawks offense. Tyler Lockett's a non-entity. And now DK Metcalf finally caught a touchdown, but it's Jackson Smith-Njigba, and there's just not enough. You see weapons all over the place, but it just hasn't come to fruition this year with Geno Smith. And shout out to LJ from H-Town who bets Geno Smith to throw an interception every week and cashes it every week. And the line's not too juiced. It's not a ridiculous situation.
So minus 140 usually.
Yeah, or minus 130. So it's just cashing. He's cashing it every week. Let's talk about this.
But that's such a beautiful bet because that's something that won't change. There's not going to be a very variant line. You're not going to be a 3-point favorite and then a 7-point dog. You're always going to be 130, 140. It's a good bet.
Yeah, shout out to LJ. Pass defense 15th, 213.9 yards the game they allow through the air. 18th rush defense 124.4. Red zone defense 13th at 53.9%. Their third down defense 13th. They allow conversions 37.4% of the time. They come in off a 27-24 loss home to Minnesota. They outgained the Vikings 361 to 298. When I've been attacking those types of situations, that's worked for me. Fading the team that was outgained by between 60 and 150 yards, outgained but one, has been working for me. But the Vikings are a complete squad, and we'll talk about them here shortly. Geno Smith, 31 of 43 for 314 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Jackson Smith, the Jigba, caught 8 passes for 95 yards and a touchdown. The 10th Seahawk receiver to record 1,000 yards season. I start smiling because that was, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, so I know all those weak receivers because DK Metcalf passed one of my favorite receivers of all time, Steve Largent, moved into 6th on the team's career touchdown list with his touchdown. He caught 3 balls for 57 yards and a touchdown. The ground game struggled again. They combined for 15 carries for 59 yards. The offense struggled on third down again, just 2 of 10. They were perfect 2 of 2 in the red zone, something we haven't seen much of. The defense held the Vikings to just 298 total yards and 4.8 per play. Held the Vikings to 3 of 12 on third down, but allowed them to go a perfect 2 for 2 in the red zone. Pass rush had 3 sacks, 7 quarterback hits, and they placed linebacker Travis Gibson on the IR. He's done for the year with an ankle injury. Let's talk about the Chicago Bears. Passing offense 27th in the league. They get 191.3 yards per game, but Caleb Williams just threw for 334 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. He also fumbled twice, losing one of them. The rushing offense is 25th in the league, 103.2 yards per game. Who in their right mind would look at this football team and think DeAndre Swift is the guy for RB1? A guy who doesn't run into the teeth of the defense, a guy who doesn't know how to spell smash mouth football. It's just astonishing. Red zone offense, strong, 62.9%. Third down offense, horrific. Second worst in the league, getting first downs 31.7% of the time. Passing defense, 23rd, 225.2 yards a game they allow, and their rush defense, 26th. They allow 134.1 yards per game. Their red zone defense has been strong all year, 3rd in the league at 47.5%. Their third down defense, 14th. They allow conversions 37.9% of the time. It's not that bad, but they come in off their 9th straight loss. 34-17 at home to the Lions. Caleb Williams, he also ran 6 times for 34 yards to lead just a porous run game. DeAndre Swift ran 9 carries for 20 yards. Keenan Allen caught 9 for 141 and a touchdown. Rome Odunze caught 4 for 77 yards. Odunze also lost a fumble. Bears offense put up 6.5 yards per play, but struggled when it mattered most. 2 of 10 on third down, 1 of 3 in the red zone. The defense couldn't get stops. Allowed the Lions to put up 475 total yards, 7.3 yards per play. Now, the defense did step up in the red zone. They held the Lions to 2 of 5 there. It's been something they've been great at all year, holding teams in the red zone. But the pass rush was quiet against a tough Lions offensive line. 1 sack, 3 quarterback hits. So here's the problem now. You have left tackle Braxton Jones fracturing his ankle early in the second quarter. So he's done for the year. Left guard Tevin Jenkins left the game with a calf injury. He's listed as questionable this week. They're already playing without Ryan Bates, who's out with a concussion, not coming back this week. If Tevin Jenkins isn't there, then they're down 2 tackles and a guard. Well, they're completely screwed if that's the case. Take it away for us, Troy. Seahawks, Bears at Soldier Field.
Start thinking about the history of Seattle Seahawks football and wide receivers. The first person that comes to my mind is Darrell Jackson, Deion Brand, Sean Alexander. That was the first year I was playing competitive Madden, and they were a quality team because Sean Alexander was an absolute glitch. But looking at this game, Seahawks clearly are the more incentivized team. Should be the more incentivized team, more motivated team in this situation. The Bears are only playing to save face, and if I was a Bears coach or in the GM in the back office, everything would be about Caleb's development. What are we going to do to put this guy into situations that's going to help him grow and progress faster at this point? Because the games are meaningless. And I think Caleb, unlike Nutflush in the chat, I think Caleb's going to have a great future just because simply his ability to extend plays. Not everything is going to translate when you're a quarterback like he is to the NFL from college, but some of it definitely has, because just his ability to extend plays is just, it's clear as day. His pocket presence, his ability to step up, step back, shake and bake, like he does it in the pocket, and he throws the ball with velocity. He could throw fastballs. The 2 fumbles in this situation with the Bears I talked about earlier, some of the penalties clearly hampering the offense, but I thought that the defense stuck out like a sore thumb. They could not get off the field. 3rd and short, couldn't get off the field. 3rd and long, they were like, the lines were like 5 for 5 on 3rd and long. It was completely embarrassing performance, and just makes me think like Eberflus. Well, first of all, coaching all around is bad, but the only good coach we had, not a good head coach. The only good coach we had was our defensive coach, which was Eberflus, which was, that was the leader of that unit. Now, he did definitely play too far into the offensive side of the football. I talked about that early in the season too. But yeah. So with the Bears, I think they're going to be focused on offense, focused on putting up points, trying to save face, I don't think they're going to be really worried and really incentivized to play a lot of defense. So I like the matchup for the Seahawks offense. And I think that if you're the Seahawks at this point, you're going to go down swinging. You're going to go down with Geno Smith leading the charge, because they still struggle to run the football, but they have been better on the road. 4-1 ATS, 5-1 straight up. They're also 4-2 to the over. They can clearly take advantage. Also, the Bears is a short home dog over machines. Bears a home dog are over machines this season. So I love the matchup for the Seahawks offense. I think that the Bears offense is going to be able to put up points. If they're not going to put up points, they're going to create there's going to be some turnovers. So a lot of the things, there's a lot of elements that I like in this game that lead me to be on the over. But really what first made me look towards the over was how fucking bullish the database was. It's a very similar spot to what we were looking at in Sunday Night Football between the Bucks and the Cowboys. Obviously that game got over. There was 37 points at half. Did creep up over late. Should have, there's a 63.5 live at one point. But home dogs, a home team that opened and closed between 3.5 and 5.5 in conference, 16-4 to the over, 9-2 to the over. If it's after week 10, and 11-1 to the over if the market has also moved to the over, which we have seen in this matchup. So I like the over a lot.
I didn't go over the line history, so let's touch on it here. At least I don't believe I did for some reason. Seattle is right now -3.5, -105. They opened up -3.5 at +106. At that point, you could have paid for a 3, and it wouldn't have been expensive. The -3.5 now -105. So we have 11 cents of movement towards the Seattle Seahawks. On the total here, we have a 43 flat, juice to the over. We see 43.5 at other books. This opened up at 41.5 and immediately shut up. Well, I think this is wrong. It might be right. Actually, you know what? It says that it shut up. Sorry, say what, my man?
What do you mean it's wrong?
Sometimes they make mistakes on the first line at this website.
I see. I see what you're saying.
I'm going back to it, and it does actually look like it's right. But it says that it went from 41.5 to 43 to 41.5. But that 41.5 was at -121 to the over, which is basically a 43. So I believe it. So let's say that in 31 minutes, it went from 41.5 to 43 at -105. Then it got up this morning to 43 -113. We've had 3 cents of buyback. So it's 43 -110. It's gone up 1.5 points. And then cash flow here, let's take a look at it. We have 62% of tickets, 84% of the cash on the Seahawks line moving towards them. 89% of tickets, 89% cash on the over line moving towards them here as well. So talk to us about how you bet it, where you, what number you bet it at, and were you also thinking of a Seahawks team total? And are you thinking about moving on the Seahawks? Because I think there's a lot of money actually to be made now on the spot here with the Seahawks still in contention. So what did you do with the total?
So I bet it at 43.5. It's currently sitting at 43, juice to the over. If you can get a 43, I would take it. And I might have to double down on this this market here because I can get a 43. Jimmy, would you be able to get me a 43 at like no juice right now?
What I see is a 43 at -110.
I'll take it. Yeah, I'll add to this spot. I'm going to take the over. I did think, you know what? I should do team total over for the freaking Seattle Seahawks.
Interestingly enough, a book that I think is the second sharpest offshore has gone the same thing, same route, 41 after 43. They're sitting at 44 right now. Now it is juiced to the under, but
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I see what you're saying here. But is it a team total play? Is team total the sharp way to play this? Because obviously this is the 3.5 fade. This is the situation I like on ATS, but I'm starting to see why overs are in play in this market.
doesn't it feel a little now? I guess the difference is that the line's moving towards the Seahawks, but it feels similar to the Colts Titans spot. We thought the Colts were a smash and grab. I paid some juice to get the -3, but I also took them double result. Cashed both very easily. I'm thinking of doing the same thing here. And then if I move also on the total, that gets me up to 900 on the game, which makes me, I feel the knot in my back immediately. But I don't see why. One thing that I'm pretty hesitant to be on public plays until this time of year. Now, part of it is Troy cashing on public plays and me seeing that I don't have to be so extreme about this whole, staying away from where the public is. But this is the time of year where I think these spots are smash and grabs. And this just feels like a smash and grab. Doesn't it, Troy? Doesn't it just feel like a Seahawks smash and grab that they'll be in control? They'll be in control. It might not be a double-digit margin at the end of the game, but they should be in control.
Wow. I mean, absolutely. Jim, yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to be on the Seahawks -3 in the double result. And then I will decide whether or not I want to be on the over that Troy's on right now. Picks from Dave says a new nickname, Public Troy. Well, the cash cow in MLB was a pretty famous bet this year that drew a lot of praise from our community. So, and it's important to know you don't need to try and outsmart everything. There's public spots that are juicy in cash.
I have history. I base my database. My database has carried me a long way. I'm not only betting public spots. There's many times I'll be on big dogs money line. Look at my average line right now. You don't have it up here, Jim. It's probably around +100. Last year was +130.
It's +106. I have it right here. Average line +106. I thought, we have it up there. Oh no, I guess we don't. My bad.
+100. If you take out money line parlays, it's probably around. Where I'm getting a little bit of plus money on that, it's probably around +100. But yeah,
it's +106 here with us. I've got your average line +106, and we usually Jose has it up, but we're running out of room up there because we have triple-digit wins and losses now.
You don't have an average line of +100 if you're betting public spots.
Oh yeah, I know. He's just teasing. He's just
sensitive public Troy. Yeah, I'm on edge today. I've had
it's the holiday season. We had so much work to do, man. I get the edge and I love it. All right, let's roll on. But I'm hammering this game as soon as this show is over. I'm hammering this game. That is our Sunday spot. Let's move on. Great job, DC Capper in the house. Love to see it. We move on to Sunday action. Sunday, December 28th. We start with the Los Angeles Chargers, 9-6, 4-3 on the road at the New England Patriots, 3-12, 1-5 at home, Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. I really enjoyed watching the Patriots game and talking Chargers the whole time with my pops, who's season ticket holder and knows the Chargers inside and out. I found it pretty illuminating on the state of the Chargers franchise right now. State of how the Chargers are playing. We have 47 Fahrenheit. An interesting thing here to keep in mind is Sunday it warms way up. So in Foxborough, it's 47 Fahrenheit showers and 9-mile-per-hour winds. Now, another thing to keep in mind on Sunday is there's showers down the entire eastern seaboard. The whole entire eastern side of the continent is in showers. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Does that become rain? Does that become light showers or no? But right now it's showers, which is, as you know, a step below rain. But the whole eastern seaboard. So you're going to hear it on every breakdown now as we go through the Sunday games. Let's get into the line history here because my dad kept saying over and over again, he kept saying, the Patriots can beat the Chargers. Let's talk about it here. We'll start with this total. It's at 42. This total opened up at 42. Now I see the look ahead at some offshores. The look ahead was a 40.5. This has moved 4 cents to the over since it's been available. We get to the spread here for this one. We have the it's a 4 or 4.5 depending on where you shop. This opened up at 5.5. Patriots were plus 5.5. At that 5.5 number, if we just focus on that, it's moved 18 cents in the Patriots direction. So opening up 5.5 and now at 4.5 or 4. And again, it would be betting the Patriots, buying them high, which is a very dangerous thing to do. Let's get into the cash flow here. Cash flow wise, we have 64% of tickets and 87% of the cash on the Chargers lines moving towards the Patriots. I'm surprised at that number on the Chargers. 89% of tickets and 82% cash on the over. My dad can't understand how the Chargers continue to win. Their roster is being hurt by injuries and is weak. I have some simple responses. Like one of them is that they have strong quarterback play, and it's the most important position on the field. But the reason why I have to give such simple, responses is because I don't really know. I don't know the unicorn, magical fairy dust that Jim Harbaugh is sprinkling on, but his speeches pre-game and post-game are phenomenal and well-known. Maybe not as great as Dan Campbell, but they're pretty special. He's a pretty special football coach, one that I used to have derision for, calling, well, it wasn't all on him, those 4 straight plays, first and goal to win the Super Bowl in 2013 against the Ravens. But I held some derision with him over at Michigan, and that's gone away. Let's talk about the Chargers passing offense, 24th, 200.8 yards per game. Rushing offense, 23rd, 106.5 208 yards per game. Rushing offense, 23rd, 106.5 yards per game. Red zone offense, 13th at 57.5%. Third down offense, 18th. They convert 37.9% of the time. Passing defense, they are 14th, allowing 213.8 yards per game. Rush defense, 17th, allowing 124.1 yards per game. The best red zone defense in the NFL. And I can now explain what happened in that football game, but it took me a couple days or at least 24 hours to figure out what the hell had happened in that game. Their third Reds, and I remember we had the live stream, and I left the next day, so it was on the airplane where I had to figure out what happened to the Chargers defense against Broncos. Third down defense is 10th in the league. They allow conversions 37.1% of the time. They coming off extra rest after their 34-27 home victory over the Broncos on Thursday night. They can clinch the playoffs with a win. Herbert was 23 of 31 for 284 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. He also ran 8 times for 28 yards. Ladd McConkey led the way with 6 catches for 87 yards. What a beast. Gus Edwards ran 14 times for 68 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'm sure his line wouldn't look as nice without that 40-yard plus scamper at the very end of the game. The offense put up 380 yards, 6.2 per play, 6 of 12 on third down, 3 of 4 in the red zone. So this is what happened. Defensively, the Chargers couldn't get stops in the first half. There was an early injury at safety, and they moved Derwin James back to safety, who generally plays the nickel spot. So they moved him back to safety, and then the Broncos, for 3 drives, got every single thing they wanted in the short pass and running the ball, spots that Derwin James is elite at. So after 3 drives, Harbaugh said, look, they can beat us over the top if they're capable of it, but I got to put Derwin James back in the nickel to ensure that we don't allow these short plays anymore. And so at that point, Denver had gained 212 yards on their first 3 drives. And they gained, from the rest of the game, they gained, 124 yards.
And you're saying the coaching adjustment was that they wanted to defend the short passing game, the short game more than.
Exactly. It was that, there's nothing we can do.
It's perfectly said. It's perfectly said, and it's going to apply to this game too. Go ahead, Jim.
Exactly. It's going to apply to this game. So I needed to understand what the hell was going on. Had I been smart enough or knowledgeable enough to know that, when we're live and we're not listening to the game and it's moving so fast in our live stream, I did one live bet on the Chargers plus 6.5, but it wasn't the under that should be bet. It was the Chargers should have been bet and hammered nonstop, understanding that there was a move they could make. Secondly, Troy, it wasn't Harbaugh who gave the halftime speech. Harbaugh moved Derwin James to the nickel, back to the nickel, and then at halftime, Harbaugh told Derwin James, "You go in and give the halftime speech."
Wow.
Yeah. So Derwin James gave the halftime speech.
Dude, Harbaugh is the man. He's the man.
I can't believe I like him so much now. How fast things could change. But so Derwin James gave the halftime speech. Derwin James was phenomenal in that football game. Remember, they got everything they wanted underneath, and then they got nothing underneath. So the pass rush had 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. Also, we saw the Cameron Dicker first successful fair catch kick in the NFL in 48 years, and good for 57 yards in the final play. And Mel knew what was happening when we were a little confused. So shout out to Mel. I mean, we don't see that very often, Mel, and we couldn't hear what they were saying. Marcus May and Denzel Perryman were injured in the first half and didn't return. And so Marcus May is who got hurt. When Marcus May got hurt, an ankle injury, they moved Derwin James to his spot. And then they realized, well, we can't do that. So it's important. But now if Marcus May doesn't come back this week, Derwin James not going to go play safety. But we need to know if Denzel Perryman is going to be available. So very important injury news there to keep an eye on. Let's talk about the Patriots passing offense, last in the league, 178.5 yards per game. It's not really changing that much with Drake May, although he's coming off a game where he threw for 261 yards. Rushing offense 14th, 119.7 yards a game on the ground. Their red zone offense is second worst in the league at 47.7%, and their third down offense is 7th worst in the league, 35.8% conversion rate. Passing defense 11th, they get 212. They allow 212.4 yards per game through the air, and 24th on the ground, 130.4. And their red zone defense and third down defense is getting worse every week. Even though they're coming off a pretty impressive performance, every week these numbers get worse. Their red zone defense now 24th in the league. They allow touchdowns 62.8% of the time, and their third down defense is now 25th, allowing conversions 42.1% of the time. Patriots coming off an impressive 24-21 loss at the Bills. Patriots' 5th straight loss, and they're probably going to have the fewest wins they've had since 1992, but they played well. They outgained the Bills 379 to 324. Drake May was 22-36 for the 261 yards I mentioned, 2 touchdowns and a pick. He also ran 6 times for 30 yards. Kayshon Boutte had 5 catches for 95 yards and a touchdown. Austin Hooper caught 4 passes for 55 yards. Ramondre Stevenson ran 12 times for 60 yards and a touchdown, caught a 13-yard pass. The offense went 9 of 14 on 3rd and 4th down and 2 of 3 in the red zone. Is that the Patriots offense being good, or the Bills Bills defense being very susceptible? I think it's the Bills defense that's a problem. But the Patriots defense was strong throughout. Held the Bills to 4 of 11 on 3rd down. The Bills only had 1 red zone trip. Pass rush had 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits. Mapu had an interception. But you're seeing Gerard Mayo struggle in 1-score games like a lot of rookie coaches do. They're now 2-6 in 1-score games. They've lost 2 games in overtime. Take it away for us here, Troy. Chargers, Patriots.
Just such an interesting number right out of the gate. I think you hit it on the head, and it was something I was going to hit on right away. Was whatever the Chargers did, which if you look at the spray chart, it was clear as day that they took away some of the short passing options and just the run game in general. They put more in the box, and I didn't know it was Derwin James, but that makes a lot of sense, and it's good to hear, right? You want more confluence with what you come to know, because it's hard to know the entire thing. That's why this is Pub Sports Radio is the best, because you get to put the pieces of the puzzle together, right? Because the information is vast. Everyone values different information, and that's what makes this place great. When I first started capping this game, I kind of did dive a little bit deeper into this one. Drake May, I love what he said after the game. His comments after that game were elite. He was getting a little bit of pressure from questions about his coaching and about the leadership, and he defended his teammates. He defended his coaching staff. What I seen from him was a guy that I would want to be my quarterback in the future. And he's the new age quarterback. What I talked about with Caleb Williams, it definitely applies to Drake May, his ability to extend plays, which he needs to do, because his offensive line grades out as the very worst in the NFL this year. They're 32nd right now per PFF in both run block and pass block. And what that tells me is that watching the Chargers adjust to the short passing game, we've seen what the Dolphins defense did to this Pats offense a few weeks back in a great environment, right? Because the Dolphins, they take away the short passing game at the highest rate in the NFL, and they stifled the Patriots. And I think the Chargers will be able to do the same thing, to be honest, because they can't generate any line yards, and you can't run the football. You have a good running back, but you can't run the football because very disciplined. Ramondre Stevenson's probably too disciplined to a fault at this point, because his offensive line just isn't opening the holes that are designed to be there. And it's a really tough game too because the Patriots offense does look a lot better, and I don't know what it is. It's hard to dive that deep into film on a team like the Patriots, but they do struggle on the road, and they're much better. They seem much cleaner at home. So this is a tough game, and the market kind of puts me on the Chargers side. I see the side for the Chargers kind of lining up here with the X's and O's. And am I going to be scared about this line movement? I'm not. When lines open at 5 or 5.5, which is a very unique line, I feel like. But I also talk about discounting the 5, 5.5 because it's just the same as the 4.5. There's not that much difference between them. And here's more confidence on that point. When lines open 5, 5.5 and move to the home team, in this case towards the Patriots, which I'm expecting this line to do based on what we've seen so far, the road team is 5-1 ATS, 5-1 to the under as well. I know it's a very small sample, and actually most of the games in the sample move towards the 6.5. Then it becomes much more 50-50 ATS. And you've seen that with the Falcons, actually, who opened up, 4.5 to 5.5, and they closed at 6. Well, here you go again. I think it's going to go the other way, though. And, if you open that up a little bit, try to get a little bit bigger of a sample. Home teams that open up between 4.5 and 5.5, line move towards the home team. And we got a low total. You got to omit all the games where we see points from both sides of the football. Last time the Chargers went to New England, it was 3-0 ball game. So you take it down. Total's less than 47. The road team is 7-3 ATS. Tells me that this number, bouncing between 5.5, 4.5, down to even 4, it's a little bit irrelevant. I think it gets there to influence action in one way or the other. And I think I would like the Chargers in this matchup. And I've been a Patriots believer lately, too. I bet the over in the past game against the Bills. I felt wronged not to have gotten there, to be honest, but probably should have just bet on the Patriots if I had any balls.
Yeah, I mean, that one really frustrated me.
Me too.
I wanted. I don't know. At that point, when I made 20 bets, I don't know why I'm like, well, I don't want to make this 23rd bet.
Wait. Hold on. I gotta ask Wager Detective in the chat. Let me go back. I'm gonna keep pulling this back. I was just looking at the Chargers on the road. Not one is going over this total. Yeah, but look at the teams that they've played. It was a Cardinals game, division. No, it was against the Cardinals on prime time. It was a 1-point spread. That's a little bit different of a situation. It was against the Browns, who we know have no offense. The Broncos early in the season, and we know that the Broncos turned up in the second half in that matchup. And then the Panthers. I feel like it's definitely not a representative sample. Or maybe it is. Panthers, Browns, Broncos, Patriots. I guess. Might be right. Maybe it is.
The team total right now, not Plush asking about the Patriots, 17.5. Heavily juiced to the over at -118. We have our leader in the NFL Cappers contest. I believe it's a 1.5 lead. He's opening up right now. Nunya business in the house. Nunya, you've been spectacular this year. So I love seeing you get that cash, leading the way. And Nutflush Allen off a perfect week, the only perfect week, $75 thanks to Harbor Acres Cottages, almost pays for the entire contest. Thank you, guys. Thank you, gentlemen, for rocking with us. So what are you going to do about the Chargers now, Troy? Because I now need to sit with this for longer with your take on it. Are you going to move on it now, or do you want to wait and see if it keeps moving towards the Patriots?
I would wait. I mean, if I can get a 4, I'd be more interested in a 4, which is really the only any semblance of a meaningful, impact to your ROI is when it gets to 4. So I'm not concerned about it right now. And if it goes up to 6, 6.5, then I consider moneyline parlay, but I wouldn't be on ATS.
Shout out to our guy WT. What a great guy coming to us from Costa Rica in the house. Thank you so much for the $10 dono, my friend. You're a great friend of the channel. New Corker, we went 3-1-1 in the Cappers contest. Pub Sports Radio did, which means if we could go 10-0 in the last 2 weeks, so we can get into the top 100. But we're right there. I wish we were a little closer, but 3-1-1, and we don't know when we're going to do the Cappers contest show at this point. We're trying to figure that out, Jose and I as well. So Chargers for Troy, but not moving yet. We move on to the next spot on the board, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. We're talking Saturday games. I believe I said Sunday. This is Saturday, December 28th. We just talked about the first one. We move on to the 4:30 p.m. game. Denver Broncos 9-6, 4-4 on the road at the Cincinnati Bengals, 7-8, 2-5 at home. We're at Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. To give you an idea how much warmer it gets this weekend, it's 57 Fahrenheit for this game in Cincinnati. 57. But showers, 7-mile-per-hour winds. Let's get into the line history here for this one. This total is at 49. I see 49.5s and 50s. This 49 is minus 120 to the over. 13 cents of movement towards the over. And that is a move that I agree with. But I haven't bet it. I haven't bet anything on this card yet. One going to, obviously want to talk it out. Also, the Bengals are minus 3.5 at plus 103. They opened up at plus 101. There was an immediate move, a legitimate move towards the Broncos. The Broncos plus 3.5 went from minus 114 to minus 121 within the first 15 minutes that this line was available. It's come back a little bit. Overall, we've had 2 cents of movement towards the Denver Broncos. Let's take a look at the cash flow here for this one. From a cash flow perspective, we have 58% of the tickets and 74% of the cash on the Broncos, 74% of the tickets and 76% cash on the over. We'll start with the Broncos. Passing offense 23rd in the league. They put up 205.5 yards per game. Rushing offense is 19th. They get 108.5 yards per game. Their red zone offense is 8th. 61.2% of the time they're scoring touchdowns. Their third down offense is 19th. They convert 37.8% of the time. Passing defense 19th. They allowed 219.8 yards per game. The rushing defense is 5th. They allow 99.8 yards per game on the ground. Their red zone defense 2nd. 45.2% of the time the opponents are scoring touchdowns. Their third down defense 12th. They allow conversions 37.4% of the time. Broncos coming off extra rest after having their 4-game winning streak snapped in a 34-27 loss at the Chargers last Thursday. They would have clinched a playoff berth with the win. Still have an 85% chance of making it. They have a tough remaining schedule. Cincinnati, of course, on the 28th, and then at home against the Chiefs in Week 18. That could be a game the Chiefs don't care about, though. We'll find out here shortly. Bo Nix, 29-40 for 263 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He also ran 3 times for 25 yards. As we talked about in the Chargers breakdown, he got everything he wanted underneath through the first 3 drives when Derwin James was put up at safety after the Marcus May injury. They brought him back to nickel to stop the run and short passing plays, and he did exactly that. Denver gained 212 yards on his first 3 drives, 229 in the first half, and 107 after halftime. Marvin Mims caught 3 passes for 62 yards. Cortland Sutton caught 5 for 50. Estime ran 9 times for 48 yards and touchdown, but the defense couldn't get stops with the game on the line. They allowed the Chargers offense to put up 6.2 yards per game, very pedestrian offense. The Chargers went 6 of 12 on third down, 3 of 4 in the red zone. The pass rush finished with 2 sacks and 8 quarterback hits. Let's talk about these Cincinnati Bengals. It's hard to believe that they're on the outside looking in when you break them down statistically. Passing offense first in the league, 267.3 yards per game through the air. Rushing offense is 29th at 92.7, but I think Chase Brown's pretty dynamic. Their red zone offense is 3rd in the league. They score touchdowns 68% of red zone opportunities, and their third down offense is 4th. They convert 46.8% of the time. This is a team that's under 500. Their pass defense is 26th. They allow 231.6 yards per game through the air. Their rush defense is 21st. They get 100, or they allow 128.3 on the ground. Their red zone defense is 2nd worst in the league. They allow touchdowns 67.4% of the time. Their third down defense is 26th in the league, allowing conversions 43.2% of the time. Bengals coming off a dominant 24-6 victory at home over the Browns. Now, it was the Browns, but Bengals have won 3 straight. They need to win their last 2 games and get a lot of help to earn a playoff spot. Burrow was 23 of 30 for 252 yards and 3 touchdowns, no picks, lost a fumble. He became the first quarterback in NFL history to throw 3 or more touchdowns and 250 or more yards in 7 straight games. He surpassed the record of 6 set by Tom Brady in that 2007 undefeated regular season for the Patriots. Burrow leads the league with 4,229 yards passing and 39 touchdown passes. Of course, Lamar Jackson, 2 back at 37. Jamar Chase had 6 catches for 97 yards and a touchdown, 1,510 yards this season. He breaks his own franchise record. 1455 set in 2021. Leads the NFL in receptions, 108, receiving yards, and TD catches. Chase Brown had 18 carries for 91 yards, caught 3 passes for 16 yards. Offense was just 4 of 11 on third down, but went 2 of 3 in the red zone. And they didn't have to do much against the Cleveland offense that struggled with Dorian Thompson-Robinson at the helm. Held the Browns to 4.3 yards per play, held them to 3 of 12 on third down, and 1 of 3 in the red zone. Despite losing Sam Hubbard for the season, the pass rush looked dynamic with 5 sacks and 10 quarterback hits. That's based on the Browns' very weak offensive line, not this resurgence from the Bengals pass rush. Geno Stone and Jordan battle at interceptions. The Bengals defense now has forced 9 turnovers over the past 2 games. That's improvement. But let's talk about what's wrong here. Right tackle Amarius Mims left the game with a ankle injury. He didn't return. Devin Cochran is going to be the right tackle now for as long as Mims is sidelined. Orlando Brown was inactive with the injured fibula. He returned to practice in a limited capacity on Friday, but it's unclear whether he'll play either of the Bengals' last 2 games. Sheldon Rankins missed his 5th straight game due to an illness. I don't know what the hell the illness is, but it's a bad one. So B.J. Hill, McKinley Jackson, and Jay Tufeli are getting the bulk of the work in the interior of Cincinnati's defensive line, and it's a vulnerable defensive line. Take it away for us, Troy, here, because this game, I want the Bengals. Now the line's moving a little bit back. And I want the over. I want them both here, but I haven't moved on them yet. Take it away, Broncos, Bengals.
I think those are both the right ways to look. And what this market is telling me, and it's based on history, guys, of course it is, the Broncos defense is I'm pretty sure what it's telling me is the Broncos defense is fraudulent. Road teams that are top 5 in overall PFF grade that are dogs, and a total that's a greater than 47. There's only been 3 teams. You had to go back to 2022 for the first team. It's the Vikings. There's only 1 team each year. The Vikings in 2022, which we know were complete frauds and got blown out the first round of the playoffs against the New York Giants. The Dolphins in 2023, last year, who were also pretty damn fraudulent, got blown out in the very first round of the playoffs. And the Eagles this season, what's funny about the Eagles this season is the games from this sample is early in the season, very early. So we knew that the Eagles defense's struggles from last year, the totals and the pricing carried over to this year. So I don't know if you want to include, call me biased again, maybe, but I don't think the Eagles belong in that sample. And if you omit them from the sample, it favors the Bengals, the home favorite, and the over. It's just really hard because I do believe the Broncos team is fraudulent. I do believe the Bengals are vastly better and are going to be way more consistent offensively. The Bengals defense, they haven't been able to force some turnovers. Maybe they could force the Broncos into some turnovers. The more film that we're getting on the Broncos becomes quite telling what they want to do. They want to throw it inside, outside the numbers, short, intermediate. They want to run the football. I feel like it's the more I think about it, after we talked about the Chargers, it makes sense. Coordinators might be able to adjust to what they're doing. And the database, though, puts this mostly into a 50-50 situation when you look at the generalized market, not talking about PFF grades. So I haven't moved on this game yet, but I'm only looking towards the Bengals. I'm only looking towards the over. And that's really weird for me, because I do. You want to know why I get defensive when people call me square, call me public? It's because this has been the farthest thing from what I've been. I never want to bet public favorites. That's not my thing, bro. It's definitely not my thing. But I built a tool that enables me to do so, and it's cashed me out. So that's the way I'm looking.
The Broncos are the public side at this point. And we'll see if that continues.
I think this is the type of situation where we'll see that flip. Man, I wish I could. There's so many things I would have on that data point too. Like maybe I could get to it by the end of the show.
And the over, how much does that appeal to you?
It really appeals to me. The number is extremely high for a Broncos defense, but we know they've had their issues. They've had their injuries. Moss at cornerback. It breaks apart their ability to play man on third down. And that's a problem.
I love it. I love it. Hey, Perky, keep it down, man, if you don't mind, in the chat. Okay, Broncos, Bengals. I like Bengals and the over. Let's move on to the Saturday night action here at 8 p.m. Eastern. Arizona Cardinals 7-8, 2-5 on the road at the LA Rams 9-6, 4-3 at home. We're at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. Let's get into the line history here for this one. Our total is at 48. It's juiced to the over at -110. Opened up at 49, dropped a point to 48. Let's get into the point spread here We have the Rams -5.5, heavily juiced. The Cardinals are in a state of disarray right now with injuries and now not making the playoffs. This line, the look ahead was 3.5. This opened up yesterday at 8:37 p.m. -5.5, -108. So it's only moved 7 cents towards the Rams at this point. Let's get into the cash flow here. From a cash flow perspective, we have 63% of the tickets and 76% of the cash on the Rams, 64% of tickets, 51% cash on the over. We have the Cardinals passing offense 21st, 207.6 yards per game, rushing offense 4th, 145.8 yards per game. Red zone offense 19th at 55.1%. Third down offense 8th, 43.2% of the time they convert. But now we're not in the playoffs. Passing defense is 12th. They allow 212.5 yards per game. Rush defense 22nd. They allow 129.5 yards per game on the ground. Red zone defense 7th in the league. They're allowing touchdowns 50.9% of the time, and their third down offense has been horrible all year. 29th in the league at 44.4%. Cardinals come in off a disappointing 36-30 overtime loss to the Panthers that officially eliminated them from the playoff race. The Cardinals led the NFC West in early November, but they've lost 4 or 5 since then. Kyler Murray, 20 of 32 for 202 yards, touchdown, interception. He also ran 8 times for 63 yards in the touchdown. He did lose a fumble. James Conner led the offense, running 15 times for 117 yards in the touchdown. Led receivers with 4 catches for 49 yards. And Troy was on his player prop. So he does all that, and he leaves in the third quarter with a knee injury. They need this man desperately. Demercado is back on IR with the back injury. Trey Benson's inactive with an ankle injury. So it's just DJ Dallas and Michael Carter. They're the only healthy running backs on Arizona's active roster. The offense put up 6 yards per play, went 7 of 14 on third and fourth down, went 3 of 4 in the red zone. But the defense didn't do their part. They allowed the Panthers to put up 392 total yards, 6 yards per play. They let the Panthers run for 243 yards and 3 touchdowns. Panthers went 8 of 16 on third and fourth down, 3 of 4 in the red zone. Pass rush had 3 sacks, but didn't get any other hits on Bryce Young. So let's talk about the problem. So left tackle Paris Johnson didn't play. And then right tackle Jonah Williams was lost to a knee injury in the third quarter. Baron Browning has a neck injury, and their safety, Joey Blunt, had a ribs injury left in the second half. So the Cards have been hit by injuries heavily, but it's their linebacking core. So you guys know B.J. Ojolari and Dennis Gardeck. They're done for the year, long gone. Jesse Luketa now on IR. He's done. Mac Wilson missed the game with a concussion, and now Baron Browning might not play with the neck injury. It feels like they are giving up. Let's talk about the Rams here. Rams passing offense 13th at 224 yards per game. Rushing offense 20th at 107.5 yards per game. Red zone offense 23rd, 52.6%. Third down offense is also 23rd. They convert 36.6% of the time. I mean, those aren't really the statistics that you would think you would be getting from this Rams team that's rolling. Their passing defense is 18th, 219.7 yards per game. Rushing defense 25th at 131.4. Red zone defense 5th in the league. They allow touchdowns just 49% of the time. Their third down defense is 17th at 39.4%. These numbers from the Rams defense are improving week in and week out. Rams coming off an impressive 19-9 victory at the Jets in frigid temperatures. They were outgained 321 to 242 in the victory. Stafford 14 of 19 for 110 yards, touchdown, interception. He was just 6 of 10 for 46 yards and interception in the first half. Puka Nacua led receivers with 8 catches for 56 yards. The rest of the team combined for 6 catches for 54 yards. Puka Nacua in all temperatures just delivers and delivers. Kyron Williams led the offense with 122 yards and a touchdown, 23 carries. In his first game back since tearing an ACL and MCL in his right knee in the playoffs last January, Higbee comes back, catches an 11-yard touchdown pass. He also had shoulder surgery in the offseason. It's just a sign that the Rams are getting it all together here. I know that Razor moved on them to win the Super Bowl. 5 of 10 on third down, 2 of 5, and that was a couple weeks ago. Razor did that and got a really juicy number. It's going to be a fun bet to watch. They were 5 of 10 on third down, but just 2 of 5 in the red zone. The defense got stops when it mattered most. Held the Jets to just 7 of 18 on third and fourth down. Held them to 1 of 3 in the red zone. Pass rush was again quiet. 4 sacks over their last 3 games, but they seem to not need that pass rush. Take it away for us, Troy. Cardinals, Rams, SoFi Stadium in Inglewood.
Man, this game right here is throwing me through a loop. My gut reaction to looking at this matchup was, oh, man, I'm going to find out some type of way to get on the Rams at home in a must-win spot. Avenging an embarrassing loss, because we remember what happened when no Cup, no Puka back then. got smoked by these Cards at home. Now the Cards have nothing to play for. The number 6 is a massive number for this Rams team who they do not constitute this price at all. This team does not deserve it. We've talked about it every single week this is a fractured unit, and it starts with the offensive line. Matthew Stafford, maybe he's aging a little bit. Maybe it's because of the offensive line. It's really hard to delineate, but he's having his worst season of his career. I think Cooper Kupp is having a massively down year from when his MVP season in the past, 2 years, where he's one of the highest graded receivers ever per PFF. I think that the Rams team is low-key broken, and when you put this into the database, you start filtering around and looking at the different, outcomes of what this market will look like come Sunday. And I would say overall, generally speaking, it favors the Cardinals. Now we're sitting at a very key number right now, so we'll see what happens from here. But man, if I could get this Rams team in the playoffs on the road in some cold weather, look at how Stafford played in New York against the Jets, a bad defense. This is a bad defense from the Jets. Maybe they had an inspired effort. I don't know. I didn't watch much of that game. I didn't watch that film. But I'll tell you what, man, if I catch the Rams outside in the cold, first round of the playoffs, I don't care. What does our boy say? Don't give a shit what the spread is, man. I'm going to be fading the Rams in the playoffs.
How can you not back them here against a Cardinals team that's going to give up without linebackers in this one?
I just have, man, a gut feeling, because I'm not seeing, like, if you're going to bet this game, you don't bet Cardinals ATS, you bet Cardinals on the money line. Historically, that's the way you'd play this game. Now, it's only 3 years of history. There's a small sample within the division, especially late in the season. You don't see this very often, but it's tough. It's a tough game. I'm going to wait. Like, I might have action on this game. I'm only looking towards the Rams. There's no way I'm going to be betting the Cards. The high total definitely brings in a different variable of this. So, yeah, I'm just not interested in this game because I'm not a believer in the Rams. I don't want to lay 6 points with them.
I don't know how the Cardinals are going to be able to get the Rams off the field without linebackers.
Yeah, very true. Very true, because they're going to force their linebackers into play. That's one thing that you count McVay. He's going to find the weakness and just attack it so you feel like shit as an offense. As an offensive, you feel incapable. It just takes the life from you when he has a matchup like that. So I could feel that.
So how do we make money off of it? I mean, the Cardinals are just not going to be able to get the Rams off the field. So obviously Rams double result to get started. And then there's got to be more money to be made because the Cardinals are going to let go now. The injured players aren't going to come back. And I mean, is James Conner going to come back? They need him desperately. He may come back just out of being a team player, but it just feels like a real.
James Conner is such a thug, bro. Fuck, this guy's a goon. I wanted him to be my running back. I want him to be my running back for whatever team I'm betting on. If he's not there, it's a massive fall. Like, it makes sense, Jim. It makes sense. But this Rams team, I probably won't get there at all, because I'm just gonna wait in the fucking bushes and wait to pounce on this Rams team outdoors in the playoffs.
Well, I'm going to pounce on this Cardinals team over the Christmas holidays.
I like it.
So I'm not going to leave money on the table here. I've got to figure out some stuff here, and I maybe want to get a little more information on the injuries. But I'm moving on the Rams here in multiple ways. Netflix going to ladder Puka up to 100. I'm going to move on the Rams in multiple ways.
So just so you know, in this market where this opened, the sharp action actually crushes in this market, and right now that favors the Rams. The sharp action, when I say that, they're bigger bets, but honestly, in this market, wow, this is very weird, man. Wow, this is crazy to me. This is crazy to me. Home favorites that open between 5 and 5.5 over the past 3 years. The sharp action is 7-2 ATS, 78%. The average cash flow on the home team money, or the home team spread, is 30%. We're seeing an outlier right now in this market.
This is a smash and grab. The Cardinals have given up.
I think that's what it's saying here. That's what it's saying.
It has to be moved on as soon as possible in multiple ways.
The most recent samples, the two of the most recent were a 37 and a 34-point win for the home team.
This is, even Omar saying that Rams should win easy but hard pass on this game for me. This is a absolute smash in every conceivable way, in every angle. This is where in every sport, the last 2 weeks of the regular season are when I have my ROI is just disgusting, because I see teams who are giving up, and I put my foot on their throat and I step down. I'm doing it here. Let's move on to Sunday action. 1 p.m. Eastern, New York Jets 4-11, 2-6 on the road at the Buffalo Bills 12-3, 7-0 at home. We're at Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. We talk about how much warmer it's getting. This weather is very interesting. 44 Fahrenheit, light rain, 18 mile per hour winds. Very, very windy here. Let's get into the line history here for this one and the cash flow as well. Line history wise, we have the Buffalo Bills at depending on where you shop, 9.5 or 10. This opened up at 10.5. When it opened up at 10.5, the Jets were minus 110. They're now minus 123 at the 10.5. Gives you a better idea of how to range the line move. There's been a 13-cent move towards the New York Jets. On the total, we have a 46.5 at a pick'em. That's where this opened. It has not moved. It's not moved 1 cent since it opened at 8:38 p.m. yesterday, being Sunday night. We get to the cash flow here. We have 41% of the tickets, 32% of the cash on the Jets. It's moving slightly in their direction. 71% of tickets, 64% cash on the over. Nothing's happening on the over. The Jets passing offense, 17th in the league, 219.2 yards per game. Rushing offense, 31st at 88.7. Red zone offense, 24th, 52.1% cash rate. Their third down offense is 12th. They convert 39.2% of the time. Passing defense is 5th, 188.3 yards per game through the air. Rush defense, 16th. 121.8. Red zone defense, 17th. They score touchdowns 58.2% of the time, and their third down defense, 15th at 38.1% of the time they convert. Jets coming off yet another disappointing loss, falling 19-9 at home to the Rams in frigid conditions. Aaron Rodgers, I don't know what team he's going to play for next year, or if he'll be in the NFL. If any team wants him, I'm not sure. I can't really think of a team that would want him. So he might not play. This might be the last 2 weeks of his career. The Jets are certainly going to cut him here shortly. They outgained the Rams 321 to 242 in the loss. Aaron Rodgers was 28 to 42 for 256 yards, touchdown, and a pick. He also lost a fumble. Devontae Adams caught 7 passes for 68 yards and a touchdown. Rodgers' 499th regular season touchdown pass. He'll cash his 500th and go off and to some, a tree house in the woods. It was the 82nd time him and Adams have combined for a touchdown. Now they tied Dan Marino and Mark Clayton for third most in NFL history for a pair. Breece Hall returned from injury, ran 14 times for 52 yards, caught 5 for 38. He looked a little better. He's not had a good year. The offense struggled when it mattered most. 7 of 18 on third and fourth down, just 1 of 3 in the red zone. The defense was strong despite dealing with injuries, and the pass rush that finished with 0 sacks and 1 quarterback hit held the Rams to 4.8 yards per play, held them to just 2 of 5 in the red zone. Tony Adams had an interception. He injured an ankle in the third quarter and then didn't return. Quinnen Williams tested out the hamstring a few hours before the game and was scratched. Sauce Gardner set out the second half with a hamstring injury. Left tackle Olu Fashanu hurt his foot midway through the game. He left on crutches. They're all listed as questionable this week. Let's talk about the Buffalo Bills. Passing offense 9th at 233 yards per game. Rushing offense 9th. 133.5 yards per game. Red zone offense 2nd at 69.4%. Third down offense 7th at 43.4%. Passing defense is 25th. They allow 229.5 yards per game. Rushing defense 14th at 118.3. Red zone defense 18th. They allow touchdowns 58.9% of the time. Their third down defense is 29th. They allow conversions 44.4% of the time. Bills coming off an underwhelming 24-21 win at home over the Patriots, extended their home winning streak to 10 games that dates back to last year. They had their single-season NFL record tying run of scoring 30 or more points come to an end at 8 straight games. Patriots outgained the Bills 379 to 324. Josh Allen 60 and 29 for 154 yards, touchdown and a pick. He also ran 6 times for 30 yards. It was James Cook. He was the offense. 11 carries for 100 yards, a touchdown. Led receivers with 3 catches for 26 yards and a touchdown. The offense only had 1 opportunity in the red zone, which is so rare for them. And the defense really struggled. The Patriots had 28 first downs. They went 9 of 14 on 3rd and 4th down. They let the Patriots go 2 of 3 in the red zone. The pass rush was meek with 1 sack and 4 quarterback hits. Cam Lewis had a pick, but the defense continues to deal with injuries. 4 defensive starters were not in the lineup, including 3 in the secondary. The 4 are Damar Hamlin, Taylor Rapp, Rasul Douglas, and then, of course, Matt Milano. All are questionable this week, didn't play last week. We know that the Bills are going to know whether they have a chance at the number 1 overall seed, and I expect that they won't. I mean, how much do the Bills... this is a fascinating spot. Take it away for us here, Troy. Jets Bills.
Yeah, I'm not going to get too long-winded with this matchup based on the contract that I had that I cannot bet the Jets because guess what? Should have been on the Patriots last week. I did bet the over. And why did I do that? Well, I had no balls, so I didn't get back the Patriots like I should have. But double-digit home favorites in division are only 7-15 ATS. 7-15 ATS, but 14-9 to the over. And if it's after week 10, these double-digit home favorites, 3-12 ATS. It's terrible. Now, this does kind of regress a little bit the higher the total gets, meaning that we expect a lot of points and vulnerability from the Jets defense, which was not exploited by the Rams and their high-powered offense, or whatever you'd call it at this point, because they used to be a high-powered offense, and we expect them to be a high-powered offense with the weapons they have, but they haven't because their offensive line. I think that the Bills down the stretch are probably going to end up paying the price because they have their own issues, and that's lack of brute force in the trenches. Their front seven is extremely weak, so they're going to need Josh Allen to do some things in the playoffs to overcome some defensive woes. This is not a game I'm going to be involved with, but if I did, it'd be the Jets and the over.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. What about the 18-mile-per-hour winds, though? The Jets aren't going to put up a ton of points with Breece Hall running the ball. He's not looked good all year.
No, I think that the Pats haven't looked good all year on the road. They have not looked good this season on the road. Any game. You go back, you look at their EPA, you look at their yards per play, and their offensive output is lackluster. They went into Buffalo. They went over their team total. And I expect a more, I expect it probably very similar to what we just seen.
This is going to take some time for me.
This is going to be a pass for me.
I can't find the over here. I think that I just think that if you're going to run the ball. I mean, I know that Cook has looked phenomenal this year, but this rush defense for the Jets has not been that good, but should be able to step up. I think the Jets are the side, but I hate saying that out loud. I'm going to need more time on this, but I think that you need to see what happens in the Chiefs game, obviously. The Chiefs win, and the Bills have no chance at number 1 in the conference. They have no chance for number 1 in the AFC. Are they going to...
The number drops down to 8.5. Chiefs win.
Well, yeah, and Hamlin, Milano, Rapp, and Douglas aren't going to come back and play. And they won't play the final week either. So the injury report is crucial for everybody to keep an eye on. Absolutely crucial. So I'm on the opposite side with the total. I'm looking towards the under, and I can see why the Jets are somewhat appealing at this double-digit price. Let's roll on. Next up, 1 p.m. Eastern with the Indianapolis Colts, 7-8, 3-5 on the road. The New York Giants, 2-13, 0-8 at home. MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, 42 Fahrenheit showers, 7 miles per hour winds. Remember, it was 22 Fahrenheit last week at kickoff in East Rutherford, New Jersey. 20 degrees warmer here, but showers. As I said, showers up and down the eastern seaboard. Take a look at the total here for Colts Giants. We have a 40.5 market wide. This is at 40 right now, and it's just for I like that they don't move it up so that we get an idea of how much juice has moved without me having to go back and click on the actual site. This total opened at 40 minus 107 to the over. It's now minus 120 to the over. So we've had 13 cents of movement to the over at that number, 40.5. On the point spread here, we have the New York Giants minus 7.5 at minus 107. They open up New York Giants plus 7.5 at minus 106. Now plus 7.5 minus 105. The Colts are now minus 107, a 1 cent move towards the Colts at the 7.5. When we get to the cash flow here, we have 62% of tickets, 73% of cash on the Colts, 92% tickets, 93% cash on the over. We'll talk about the Colts first. Their passing offense is 28th at 185.9 yards per game. Their last 3 games, they have the least amount of passing yards in the NFL, 131 yards per game. Now, part of it is that they only had 131 yards just this past week. Moved that a little too fast. The rushing offense, 8th in the league, 135.2 yards per game. The red zone offense, 21st. Third down offense, 21st. They get touchdowns 54.6% of the time. They get conversions on third down 37.2% of the time. Passing defense is 24th. They allow 225.6 yards per game. Their rush defense is 29th, allowing 136.5 yards per game. The red zone defense is 20th. They're at 60% of the time they allow touchdowns. And their third down defense is 4th worst in the NFL. They allow conversions 44.4% of the time. Colts coming off the 38-30 win at home over the Titans. They outgained the Titans 458 to 307. They were up 38-15 going into the fourth quarter. Anthony Richardson with just 7-11 for 131 yards and touchdown and interception through the air because the Colts didn't need to pass. They were destroying the Titans on the ground. Jonathan Taylor ran 29 times for 218 yards and 3 touchdowns. Anthony Richardson ran 9 times for 70 yards and a touchdown. Taylor needs 29 carries to post the second highest single-game rushing total in the NFL. Needed 29 carries to post the second highest single-game rushing total in the NFL this year. It was also the second highest of his career. His most touchdowns in the game since 2021, and it put him over the 1,000-yard mark for the first time since 2021. And that's when he won the rushing title. The Colts ran 50 times for 335 yards and 4 touchdowns. Josh Downs led receivers with 3 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. Offense had 7.4 yards per play, 9-16 on 3rd and 4th down, and went 2 of 3 in the red zone. The defense struggled late, but it was a thorough victory. The Titans went 5 of 11 on 3rd down. Were a perfect 3 for 3 in the red zone. 2 of those spots were in the fourth quarter when they were well ahead. The pass rush only had 1 sack and 4 quarterback hits. Secondary picked off Mason Rudolph 3 times, twice by Kenny Moore, once by Samuel Womack. Now, starting quarterback Jalen Jones and defensive back Trey Flowers got hurt during the game. Both are listed as questionable this week. Alec Pierce is still in concussion protocol, and EJ Speed is still dealing with a knee injury. He is inactive. So Luke Burrow says, would you go on Jonathan Taylor again in this game? Luke Burrow, I've never bet a player prop in my life after they've had a record-setting day or a career day or a season best day ever in my life. And I will never. Never. Now, we do know that when somebody is their character is being questioned and they know that they are sound and true of character, that they can't put a number high enough. Now, we've seen that with Chuba Hubbard and now with Jonathan Taylor, that the market just can't put a number high enough. And I need to recognize that because I thought the number was pretty high and I only bet the touchdown. Let's move on to the Giants here. We don't need to get really – look, their passing offense, rushing offense is terrible. Their red zone offense worst in the league, and their third down offense is 4th worst in the league. We don't really need to get into the individual numbers. I don't see how Tommy DeVito isn't at quarterback this week. Do you expect Tommy DeVito at quarterback? They haven't announced anything, but do you expect Tommy DeVito at quarterback, Troy?
I don't know who to expect at quarterback, but if I see that Tommy DeVito's announced in, then I'm really going to be looking hard at the Giants.
I want to bet that he's going to be a quarterback. Passing defense 7th, 200.5 yards per game. They allow through the air, not that much, but that's because teams are running the ball down their throat late in the game. Rushing defense is 31st. They allow 142.6 yards per game. Red zone defense has been decent all year, 11th in the league, 53.3%. Their third down defense is 22nd in the league. They allow conversions 40.7% of the time. They come in off their franchise record tying 10th straight loss, 34-7 to the Falcons in Atlanta. Drew Lock, 22 of 39 for 210 yards, touchdown, 2 interceptions. He also lost a fumble. Both of his interceptions were returned for touchdowns. He's the first Giants quarterback since Eli Manning in 2007 to have multiple picks returned for touchdowns in a game. Of course, we've already talked about 2007 because it was the perfect regular season for the Patriots. So despite, allowing multiple picks returned for a touchdown in the game, Eli Manning won the Super Bowl that year.
Jimmy, it was a common rule in cash games in Madden in 2006, 2007? It was no Patriots. I was not allowed to play with the Patriots. If I was playing a cash game, I was no Patriots. They were a freaking powerhouse.
I believe it, man. I believe it. Malik Neighbors led receivers with 7 catches for 68 yards. He's still trying. Wandale Robinson caught 7 for 62. He is as well. Tyrone Tracy ran 7 times for 26 yards, caught 4 for 43 and a touchdown. But the offense only put up 234 total yards. 3 of 10 on 3rd and 4th down, 1 of 2 in the red zone. This pass rush has been ravaged by injuries. They were nowhere to be found. 0 sacks, 2 quarterback hits. The defense allowed the Falcons to go 8 of 14 on 3rd down, but did hold them in 2 of 4 in the red zone. Cordell Flott had an interception. Tommy DeVito cleared concussion protocol. He's Locke's backup. He's starting for sure. Take it away for us here, Troy. Colts, Giants at MetLife.
I personally cannot help but find anything historically that doesn't tell me that the Giants are live on the money line in the situation. And, I think that if you were to back the Giants, you better hope that Danny, Jesus fucking Christ, Jim, save me, dude. Tommy D. You want him at quarterback if you're backing the Giants. And you look at this spread, there's 2 things I think of. It's either the Colts are way better than I thought, or the Giants are the worst team in the NFL by a wide margin, by a huge gap. I did move on the Falcons against the Giants. I moved on them late. I thought it was interesting that was the biggest number a rookie quarterback laid in the NFL in the history of the NFL. Pretty powerful stuff. And that's a perfect example of why I put so much emphasis in the market, why I put so much emphasis in late season markets, because they're entirely different. They tell you who's waving the white flags, and that's the Giants. Like if you're really digging into the sample, I was just considering some of those teams were in high emotional situations, not like this game right here in the dead zone of the NFL in a time slate that's they're going to be neglected. This entire game is not going to be watched by the betting public. I bet you nobody wants action in this game, and it makes me think that the Colts are probably going to smack City. But historically speaking, Colts end up fading away, and the Giants get the cover.
Yeah, the total roller coaster ride I had with the Giants Falcons was horrible.
It was awful.
It was
I was sweating it for you. It was so bad.
It was horrible. But the whole week, it bothered me. It legitimately kept me up at night, betting it too early at 40.5. And then at least I had the balls to bet it again at 43. And that was eye-opening. Now, 2 pick sixes in a 34-7 game makes me want to smash something. So DeVito's going to be in. There's just no way he go back to DeVito's.
The only redeeming play, Jim, in that entire game, the only redeeming play was the goal line Pitts. But that was it. Like, that doesn't offset all the other nonsense that happened to get you there.
No, you're right. That was not fun to watch, though, dude.
That was painful, bro.
The only redeeming play was you moving on the Falcons. That was the only thing that I felt good about while I was watching the game, because you moved on late and you tried to get me to join you, which is what a good friend does. Colts, Giants, at this point, I don't know if I want. I kind of want the Colts in the under. I just don't know if if I can do it.
It makes me think of, and maybe it's recency bias. It's what I just recently seen, because I backed the Giants at home against a Saints team that's much worse than this Colts team. So don't give me. It's not a similar situation. It's a completely different number for that reason, though. It's the adjusted number in this situation makes sense for me to back the Giants as well. So it's a spot that I probably just won't bet. Why even have to deal with that?
Watching the Giants Falcons game was so painstaking. But I still think that there might be money to be made, and maybe using the Colts double result with something. But I could see the Colts playing lackluster. But the Colts still have something on the line. They still think they can get in. So I think the Colts double result might be a parlay piece for this week. But I can understand the trepidation.
You're probably getting a straight number there, Jim. You're probably getting something somewhere in the vicinity of what, minus 125?
I think it would be more than that. I'll pull it up. I can't log into that.
I got it right here. Colts. Oh shit,
it's expensive.
Yeah, it's my fault. It's minus 162.
Yeah, well, because I mean, if the Bengals was minus 150, you would think that. I'm surprised it's even more expensive than the Bengals. But.
See, I would lay a big number like minus 180 on a money line, but I don't think I would do a double result in this range. Yeah.
All right, let's roll on here. Next up, we have 1 p.m. Eastern action. Carolina Panthers 4-11, 1-5 on the road at Tampa Bay Buccaneers 8-7, 3-4 at home. Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. We talk about Tampa in this game, and the next game we're in Jacksonville. Weather is similar in both. Showers, of course, in both, as I talked about the Eastern Seaboard with showers. 76 Fahrenheit, showers, 5-mile-per-hour winds. Let's talk about Panthers Buccaneers here. This total is at 49.5, and it's minus 107 to the under. It's not moved since it became available. Wildly, I didn't realize this. Wildly, this became available just an hour ago. I didn't notice that wasn't available at the main book we use for our line shopping. When we get to the spread here for this one, we have Tampa Bay minus 8.5 at minus 106. Again, this just came out, so there's been no movement here. Let's get into the cash flow for this Panthers Buccaneers spot. We have 59% of the tickets and 65% of the cash on the Buccaneers, 69% of tickets, 65% of cash on the over. Shout out to Turnsy in the house. Nice to see you, my man. I would have to sit with that, Turnsy. I thought about betting the Sharks here. I'm off to a fantastic night in NHL, by the way, which is this feels so goddamn good. Let's talk about this spot here, though. Panthers, Bucks. Sorry, I can't help. Turns out I've just been so caught up in football all day today. We're going to start with the Panthers. Passing offense, 30th in the league, 183.5 yards a game. Rushing offense, 16th, 112.3. Red zone offense, 11th, 58.1%. Third down offense, 28th. They convert 35.3% of the time. Their passing defense is 9th at 210.7 yards allowed per game, but it's just because they get the ball run down their throats. Rushing defense last in the league at 175.2 yards per game. We saw what James Conner was doing against them before he got hurt. It was just unbelievable. The red zone defense, 29th. They allow touchdowns 65.1% of the time, and their third down defense is the worst in the league, allowing conversions 47.7% of the time. The Panthers come in off an impressive 36-30 overtime victory over the Cardinals at home and officially eliminated the Cardinals from the playoffs. Bryce Young, 17-26 for 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and he ran for a career-high 68 yards and a touchdown on just 5 carries. I'm become a big fan of his. The Cardinals, as a team, ran for 243 yards, led by Chuba Hubbard, who ran 25 times for 152 yards and 2 touchdowns. Look, the Cardinals didn't run for as many yards as the Colts did on the Titans. Thielen continues to play well. Led receivers with 5 catches, 43 yards, touchdown. Panthers offense, 392 total yards, 6 yards per play. 8 of 16 on 3rd and 4th down, 3 of 4 in the red zone, but the defense is a problem. They just can't stop the run. Cardinals ran 29 times for 206. Oh, here, I said that wrong tripping. It was a long day of capping. It is the Panthers that ran for 243 yards as a team. The Panthers ran for 243 yards. Now, the Panthers still can't stop the run. They allowed the Cards to run 29 times for 206 yards. Cards went 7 of 14 on 3rd and 4th down, 3 of 4 in the red zone. Pass rush had 3 sacks. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 3rd passing offense, 246.1 yards per game. Rushing offense, 7th at 143.7. Red zone offense, 5th. They score touchdowns 67.2% of the time, and their 3rd down offense is 2nd. They convert 48.4% of the time. These are phenomenal stats, and Baker Mayfield has shown so much character this year. Passing defense is 30th. They allow 250.3 yards per game through the air, and 9th rushing defense, allowing 104. Red zone defense is 12th. They allow touchdowns 53.7% of the time. Their 3rd down defense is improving slightly. They're 18th. There used to be a bigger problem, but they allow conversions 39.9% of the time. Buccaneers on a short week after falling 26-24 to the Cowboys in Dallas on Monday, snapped their 4-game winning streak. They're now tied with the Falcons for the lead in the NFC South. Of course, the Falcons hold the tiebreaker. They outgained the Cowboys 410 to 317, had 10 more first downs in them in the loss. Baker Mayfield, 31 to 43 for 303 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Mike Evans has all these bonuses on the line. He caught 5 passes for 69 yards. Jalen McMillan caught 5 for 57 yards and a touchdown. It was a great draft. You know, you get McMillan in the 3rd round, you get Bucky in the 4th. He ran 16 times for 68 yards and a touchdown, caught 3 passes for 24 yards. Rashad White ran 3 times for 10 yards, but caught 7 passes for 50. Unfortunately, that final catch, Jerome Bland ripped the ball out of his hands. I mean, what a roller coaster ride that was for game-ending fumble recovery. Bucks were 6 of 12 on 3rd down, 3 of 3 in the red zone. The defense was strong in the second half after getting taken advantage of in the first half. This was a group that only allowed 15 points per game during that 4-game winning streak. You know, no team in the NFL allowed less than the 60 points the Buccaneers allowed in those 4 games. But, you know, Tampa's pass rush was quiet. 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits. Sterling Shepard has a hamstring injury. He's probably not going to play. They played without Cade Otton. You could tell, you know, Gadecki had a hold and a couple of mistakes in that one. KJ Britt, Antoine Winfield continued to be out of the lineup, but not on IR. Take it away for us. Shout out to my guy, Young Tino in the house. Take it away for us here, Troy. This is a fascinating one. Panthers, Buccaneers.
Yeah, this is a matchup where I'm looking at the total in this game. And first, I want to start like when I hear you talking about Baker Mayfield, I think this dude's a fucking soldier. You look at what he's able to do, his will that he brings to the field every single day, game in and game out. Like, never taking a play off. If he hands the ball off, he's getting involved any way he possibly can. It's what you want to see, bro. So who you want to back when you're looking at backing teams. Could you imagine if Patrick Mahomes got pile drived into the fucking ground on his head and a fumble is called on the field? There's no penalty flags. You know the play I'm talking about in the second half, Jim?
Oh, of course. And then the first thing
it would have got executed. It would have been a public execution if that was Patrick Mahomes.
Well, the first thing my dad and I both yelled was, he was down.
Yeah.
And there's only very few quarterbacks that you would say that, you would scream that about. And trusting that Mayfield forced his elbow down, I thought that play showed so much character. I'm amazed how you can change your feelings on a player or a coach, you know, from year to year. You know, he's really showing a ton of character this year. But I don't mean to interrupt. Rock on, my man.
No, it means a lot, dude, because I feel the same way. I mean, my entire interpretation of Baker Mayfield has changed year over year. And I mean, but that's just another like red flag to me, because like it just makes me, the product of the NFL is being ruined by the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, if you get pile drive on your head, you're Patrick Mahomes. There's a public execution. If you're Baker Mayfield, you're fucking. It's a fumble. All of a sudden, it's just fucking, the evidence is everywhere. This Bucs offense, they deserve the better. I feel like they deserved better yesterday too. I mean, at least the money line. I don't think their defense performed very well. We know their defense has numerous issues. We see them get beat week after week. They got I feel like Bowles needs to take some heat for this, because I feel like he continues to put his team in bad situations. Is it like you look at the Bucs yesterday? Their offense got inside the 30-yard line on 3 drives that resulted in 0 points. Good drives where they executed all the way down the field. And what happened when they got inside the 30? A penalty on first down in 2 of the 3 drives. And that's going to come. And that's like the public favorite, the mob shit that I talk about. That's what happens when you're back in public favorites. You should expect things like that to happen. It is what it is. It's modern day markets, modern day NFL, modern day mob shit. Yeah, there's only one way I'm looking. It's the over in this game. Both defenses are clearly susceptible. And you look at home favorites, home teams. I want to say I omitted one home favorite that was a 17.5-point favorite. Okay, excuse me for that. But home teams priced between -7 and -14 after week 10, with a total over 44, 7-0 to the over. The road team in that situation, 5-2 ATS. The home team is 6-1 on the money line. So this to me is I don't want to have to worry about ATS money line. It's going to be very tight ATS, but I want to take the over. I think.
You know, the over has got to be it. This line just came out too, so I think we could take advantage of it. I mean, we expect it to climb.
This is also, there's only been one other game that finished under 50 total points. This will be the highest total in a conference game, in this profile. I mean, this is pretty telling. Like, you look at these scores, it's pretty consistent: 53, 55, 51, 57, 55, 61, 48, or 49, excuse me.
Flush. I like the over. The over makes a ton of sense. I think the Panthers are capable of staying within the 8.5, but certainly would have to question whether I want to buy them high at this point, and it's not something I like to do. So I'm certainly not going to move on that tonight. But I think the over 49.5 needs to be bet as soon as possible. In fact, this is probably a first half and full game over, because I certainly wouldn't have been so uncomfortable if I had to bet the first half too in that over with Tampa Bay Dallas. So yes, the overs are the play. I don't care if it's public. And also,
and we remember what happened Panthers, which I don't think there's been a big difference at home on the road for the Panthers team. We should look at that real quick, actually.
Well, but again, you could only go back 5 weeks. Like, don't go back further than that, because this is a different football team since the Red Rifle car accident. Bryce Young had his career taken away from him.
And they went into Philly, put up 16, probably deserved a 21-22 in that game. We know that
great in that game.
Against Tampa, they put up 23, but they deserved 30, 33 points in that game.
That Thielen touchdown, I still don't understand.
That doesn't make any sense.
You'd have to show me an angle where, because I was like, I couldn't believe that was not called a touchdown. And the story was the NFL, with all of their cameras, it wasn't that they had proof of him not. It was that it wasn't called a touchdown on the field.
It was bullshit. That game encapsulates my variance this season. Like, I just talked about betting. This is what you should expect betting opponent. Like, I should have gotten that 4 points. That should have been 4. Like, it's bad this year, Jim. It's really bad.
Well, it'll come back. And look, you're saying how bad it is. You have a 5% ROI and you're up 20 units on the year. Panthers, Buccaneers, I think that the overs need to be. Remember, there's showers, but there's no wind. Let's roll on. Next up for us, 1 p.m. Eastern, we have the Tennessee Titans 3-12, 2-6 on the road. The Jacksonville Jaguars 3-12, 2-5 at home. We're at Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida. 70 Fahrenheit showers, 9-mile-per-hour winds. Let's get into the line history for Titans, Jags. We have, sorry about that. This total is at 40. It opened up at minus 106, so it's 41 market wide. But here at the 40, they're not moving it off the number, so we can see that it's gone from minus 106 to minus 120 from the opening number. 14-cent move to the over on the opening for the opening number. Let's get to this point spread here on the spread. We have I think the money line will give us a better story. So why don't we? It's very, very tight. From a money line standpoint, we have Jacksonville Jaguars minus 110 right now. They opened up at minus 113. So, 3 cents of movement towards the Tennessee Titans. When we get to the cash flow, on the spread, 71% of the tickets and 81% of cash on the Titans. On the money line, 30% of the tickets and 73% of the cash is on them. On the total, it's 87% of tickets, 87% cash on the over, and it's moved towards the over. We'll talk about the Titans first. Their passing offense is 26th in the league, 194 yards per game. Their rushing offense, 21st, 107.4 yards per game. The red zone offense, 16th. They score touchdowns 56.1% of the time. Their third down offense, 22nd at 37.1%. Look, their passing defense is first still, allowing 178.3 yards per game. It doesn't tell the story. It's certainly not the number one passing defense.
No, because they're so trash.
Exactly, yeah. Their rushing defense, they're allowing 129.9 yards per game. Their rushing defense was at one point lauded. Now it's an absolute abomination when the Colts just ran 50 times for 335 yards on them, and that's not going to stop. The question is, can the Jaguars do that with Tank, Bigsby, and Etienne? And the answer is probably not. I mean, well, they can, but not to the same extent. I mean, it's not Jonathan Taylor playing for his character in his name. Red zone defense 28th, 64.7%. Third down defense 18th. They allow conversions 39.9% of the time. The Titans come in off an ugly 38-30 loss at the Colts. Nunya says in his opinion the Titans have the best week of their season. Got to keep an eye on anything Nunya says. Our leader in the NFL Cappers contest. What a season he's put together. They were incapable of stopping the run. We talked about that. Mason Rudolph, 23 of 34 for 252 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. I cannot believe that he threw 3 picks. I mean, the only thing they're asking of you, the only thing is to not throw interceptions. They should just point, hey, you see that loser over there, Will? Don't lose the game because of stupid plays like that ass clown who's on the bench. And he still throws 3 interceptions. It's because Mason Rudolph can't be trusted.
It's an embarrassment to this organization. They're probably in the worst spot of any organization.
Oh my God, it's just a train wreck. Chig Okonkwo, 9 catches for 81 yards. Calvin Ridley caught 3 for 78 and a touchdown. The ground game struggled. Tony Pollard, 8 carries for 35 yards. Tyjae Spears ran 8 for 27 yards. It was ugly. The offense went 5-11 on third down, 3 of 3 in the red zone, but 2 of those touchdowns were just garbage touchdowns, garbage time. 4 straight loss, 3 more turnovers. Defense dreadful. 2 of the Titans' last 4 opponents have rushed for at least 200 yards. Titans put up 458 total yards and 7.4 yards per play. They allowed I think that I wrote Titans there twice. I was just going so fast today. I'm sure that's the Colts. The Colts put up 458 total yards. I apologize, and 7.4 yards per play. They allowed the Colts to go 9 of 16 on third and fourth down, and 2 of 3 in the red zone. Pass rush had 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit, but Anthony Richardson only dropped back 11 times, so it's no example. Nick Folk missed the game with an abdominal injury. Linebacker Kenneth Murray, we expect him to be done. All we know is the wrist doesn't look good for him, and there's been no update. But the update's not going to be good. Amani Hooker with the shoulder injury. Otis Reese with the ankle injury. Both are listed as questionable. Let's talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars coming off a 19-14 loss at Las Vegas. I was pretty proud of the Raiders. Bet we made. Took some time.
Proud you should be. Proud you should be. Seriously, like the specializing. I watched that game and I thought about it like. This ain't weird to think about another capper when you're watching a game. This guy's the master of fucking bum fights. He's the master. I mean, you broke this down, and I started to conform with you as time went on, and we've seen this line. Like you're so good, Jim.
It was good. It was good. Good look on the Raiders. Good look on O'Connell. And them trying and them showing effort, and also the Jaguars are just horrific. As much as you can say the Raiders are bad, this team fights for Antonio Pierce. Passing offense for the Jaguars, 22nd, 206.5 yards per game. It's similar with Mac Jones as it was with Trevor Lawrence. Hard to believe. Rushing offense, 26th. It's been a problem all year, 99.6 yards per game. Their red zone offense is 17th. They score touchdowns 55.6% of the time. Their third down offense, 27th. They convert 35.6% of the time. Their passing defense is the worst in the league. They allow 263 yards per game. Their rushing defense is 20th at 127.9. Their red zone defense is 22nd. They allow touchdowns 61.1% of the time, and their third down defense is 27th. They allow conversions 43.4% of the time. Just a horrific football team. A shout out to our guy Birdie in the house. Great to see you, Birdie. Merry Christmas, my friend. Jaguars coming off that 19-14 loss at Vegas. They've lost 7 of their last 8 games. They're 2-9 in one game or one score contest, and they're now third in the draft order. Mac Jones was 25 of 39 for 247 yards and a touchdown. Brian Thomas Jr., what a monster he's been. Caught 9 for 132 and touchdown. 73 catches this season. Breaks the rookie club record held by Justin Blackman in 2012. Also now he's the rookie record holder for receiving yards, 1,087 and touchdowns 9. Bigsby ran 12 times for 50 yards touchdown, also lost a fumble. Jags were 6 of 15 on third down, scored a touchdown, their lone red zone opportunity. The defense held the Raiders to just 4.7 yards per play. It held them to 4-14 on third down, 2 of 3 in the red zone. The pass rush had 2 sacks and 5 quarterback hits. Now, this Jaguars team, and this is the key to the cap, they got beaten up pretty bad. And when you're playing this poorly, does anybody care about them coming back? The ownership wants them to lose badly. So Walker Little, left tackle, ankle injury. A right tackle, Anton Harrison with a shoulder injury. Are they going to come back? It's crucial. Darnell Savage, a concussion. Is he going to try to get through concussion protocol? Their linebacker, Ventrell Miller, ankle injury. This is such key components, because if the 2 or 3 of them announce that they're coming back, we'll say, okay, the Jaguars are trying. If none of them come back and Savage doesn't try to get through concussion protocol, well, we know that they're not trying. Now, I know you could say we know they're not trying, but both of these teams have 3 wins. Both of these teams don't want to win this football game. Take it away, Troy. Titans, Jaguars.
That's what makes this such an interesting cast. Both teams would rather not, organizationally speaking, not want to win this game. And I really wish, Jim, I had joined you on the Oakland officially. I know we moved out in our contest. This Titans defense is absolutely dead. And it's funny because, like, down the stretch, the Jags defense has been much better. A complete 180 from where these teams were early in the season, where the Jags defense was completely just a walkover. I'm not saying they're a great defense, but they vastly improved from early in the season, whereas the Titans continued to regress. The bottom fell out, and now the bottom's completely fallen out, right? We're looking at a pick 'em against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Really tough game in this situation. And I would tend to want to side with my guy, Jimmy the Bag, in this situation. And I believe if you had to bet this game, Jim, based on what I heard, would you be on the Jaguars?
I truly think, as the Raiders game took some time to kind of come together, that this one will too. This game is not about whether – we know Kenneth Murray Jr. is not coming back. It's the stars of the defense. Amani Hooker has a shoulder injury. Is he going to play? If he's going to play, it's a sign that the Titans are trying. Again, Darnell Savage and Walker Little.
Darnell Savage, if he plays, say both those guys play, what's the spread pre-flop?
I don't think anything changes. I think
we're going to see a 2.5, and I think that's going to be the indicator if it gets to 2.5.
It was the indicator in the Raiders game. I felt dumb for not getting in on it at the 2. So yes, I think that and let me hammer this home. There is so much money to be made in the last 2 weeks of the regular season in all professional sports. It's a time where there's true gifts. A team isn't trying. Now here, we're going to get a sense of who is trying. One thing that we know is that Peterson thinks he can still have a job at the end of the year, which we know he's not going to have one. I just think that the Cappers contest looks like we're going to have to go really early in the Cappers contest. So you're going to have to make this call on your own. And truly, it's the injury report that needs to be focused on. But right now, I would be on the Tennessee Titans. Right now, I'd be on the Tennessee Titans, with the young coach who wants to continue coaching there. Who would you be on?
I would probably be on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Because Doug Peterson, I feel like I don't know what he has up his sleeve, but obviously he's coaching for something. Or at least that's what it seems like to me. And then Mac Jones is going to be is a quarterback that knows he's looking for a second chance in the NFL. Like, you're going to see his best effort. He's going to be locked in.
I think Birdie is a great point on this over too. Again, we'll know who's in. Now, again, look, Troy. If Walker Little and Anton Harrison are out, nobody should be expecting the Jags to put up much points. It's not like Mac Jones is able to move out of the pocket and do something appropriate.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
All right. So this is all the keys. All
see, that's where I know that's where, like, I probably wouldn't have dug that deep into the injury reports, because I know that if I see it at 2.5, it's like a green light. Doing
the work for you.
Right.
It's going to be really fun. Let's keep focused on the injury report. I think this is good. This is the type of situation like the Raider spot that will illuminate for us and be an opportunity to have an easy casher.
But I say that too, and then I talk about 2.5 being a key number, and when it gets over the 2, things change, and that's also true. So I should probably, it's a double-edged sword with what I just said.
So I think that Birdie is an interesting point on the over. Again, this is all about injury news. So, okay. All right, let's roll on. That's the conclusion of the 1 p.m. Sunday games. We move into afternoon action. 4:05 p.m. Eastern with the Miami Dolphins 7-8, 2-5 on the road. The Cleveland Browns 3-12, 2-5 at home. Huntington Bank Field in Cleveland, Ohio. The big question here is who's going to be at quarterback. I was trying to find it out. Do they go back to, maybe in the last few hours something's come up, do they go back to Dorian Thompson-Robinson after that?
Why they would. I really don't understand why they would. We've seen his story. He's not an NFL quarterback. Like, why? Because here's why, Jim. Because if you start Dorian Thompson-Robinson, you are clearly trying to lose football games.
And they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're preparing for Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He just has to make it through from a health standpoint. So he will start if healthy. Stefanski reiterated it today. So this was later in the day because I didn't have this information. He will start week 17 against the Dolphins. He sustained a calf injury on the first offensive drive, and he played the remainder of the game. And, Stefanski respected all of that here. So, you'd even think after watching DTR, do you want to give Bailey Zappi a chance? But that's not the case. That's not the case. So we should expect Dorian Thompson-Robinson at quarterback. Let's get into the line history here for this one. And here we go. So from a total side of things, we have this total at 40.5, juice to the under. Opened up minus 108, it's now minus 109. On the point spread, over here, on the point spread, we have the Browns 6-point dogs. We'll go from the Dolphins side of things. Dolphins open up -6 at minus 106. They're now -6 at minus 116. So a 10-cent move towards the Dolphins, who are still trying. Wow. Okay,
Jim,
so
I want to interrupt for a second and say,
sure.
I'm pretty sure it's okay now to say congratulations on the under. And the market move to the over was a false flag. And this is just a beautiful thing, Jim. Thank you. Thank you for leading the way in that situation because I've been following that line movement all week.
Yeah, let's come home with it, but it's important. All these wins are really, really important. So, but let's get it home. I want to get back up to double-digit units on the season. Like, you're going to be over 20 now, healthy over 20. So excellent work. I was a little surprised. Omer was like, you guys are screwed. It's 7-0 already. I was like, that was a 7.5-minute drive against a team that's not trying.
If the Saints went up 7-0, I would have been very concerned.
Oh, yeah, that's a different story. Yeah. All right, let's roll on here with Dolphins, Browns. 48 Fahrenheit in Cleveland. Much, much warmer. I don't mean to keep stressing this, but it's much warmer this week, and it changes, and it's showers across each game and 10-mile-per-hour winds. 73% of tickets, 53% cash on the Dolphins. I mean, isn't this the craziest thing you could possibly read? Now, I know there's only 2,569 bets in, and we're going to be talking about a situation with 300,000 or 400,000 bets. But that 27% of the early tickets and 47% of the cash would be on the Cleveland Browns. Why? Because the Dolphins can't play in the cold? It's not cold. It's 48 Fahrenheit. It's not cold. It's great football weather. 91% of the tickets, 94% of cash on the over. I mean, imagine Troy in December at NIU playing at 48 Fahrenheit weather. Wouldn't that be like a luxury?
It had been a dream come true. It would have been electric. Absolutely.
Let's roll into this because I don't see how this makes any sense whatsoever. 91 and 94 on the over. Even that, I don't know if that makes any sense. So the Dolphins are coming off that 29-17 victory at home over the 49ers. So they need to win their final two games and get losses by the Broncos and Chargers to make the postseason. That's not impossible here. We'll start with the Dolphins passing offense 15th, rushing offense 24th, 105.7 yards per game. We just saw Devon Achane have a game for the first time in 6 weeks, 8 weeks? Can he change this poor rushing attack? The red zone offense is 15th, 56.5%. Tyreek Hill looks like a shadow of his former self. Third down offense 16th. They convert 38.1% of the time. This defense has been strong throughout this year. Passing defense 10th, 210.9 yards per game. Rushing defense 6th. They allow just 102.1 yards per game on the ground. The red zone defense 4th, allowing touchdowns 48.9% of the time. Third down defense 9th. 36.2% time. I can't wait to talk about the 49ers game because, we screwed up in a similar situation, but things have changed because the 49ers have given up. I don't know how this line, the Waddle being out and then Tyreek Hill being questionable. Who cares with the way Tyreek Hill is playing? I should have been on the Dolphins, and I beat myself up, all week for not being on them. Tagovailoa, 22 of 34 for 215 yards and a touchdown. Achane, 17 carries for 120 yards and a touchdown, caught 6 for 70. Jonnu Smith caught 6 for 62. Interesting, Jonnu Smith, he hasn't been getting a lot of love, and he should be. He set the Dolphins single-season franchise record for receptions at 76 and receiving yards at 802 for a tight end. And you don't hear much about him. Tyreek Hill, 3 of 7. That's what he caught, 3 of 7 targets for 29 yards and a touchdown. He had drops on the first 2 drives, and then that potential touchdown he dropped on the 3rd drive. Wow. I mean, he's just playing poorly. The Dolphins were just 4 of 12 on 3rd down, 1 of 3 in the red zone. The defense was strong throughout, but the 49ers put up 374 yards. They put up 6.1 yards per play. They held the Niners to 5 of 14 on 3rd and 4th down and 2 of 5 in the red zone. And that's why, we keep looking at those stats and think the Dolphins defense is good, but it's a bend but don't break good. The pass rush had 3 sacks, 6 quarterback hits. Kader Kohu had a pick. Jason Sanders, 5 of 5 again. So he also kicked a 54-yarder, just like Aubrey. This guy is 11 of 13 on field goals of 50+. So Waddle dealing with the knee injury, Kendall Fuller dealing with the knee injury. That happened in the game. And same with Jordan Brooks, had a quad injury in the second half. And Bradley Chubb, this is key here, Troy. Bradley Chubb will have to be activated before this game or he's not going to play this year. So we're getting past the 21-day window. Why would he have fought so hard to come back to not play a game? I really, really think that. Well, I don't know what the hell's going on. What does it matter what I think? But could he be playing this week? Will he be playing this week? It'll be a big boon if he is playing. How the hell are big bets coming in on the Cleveland Browns? What's going on? With DTR at quarterback, the only stat that's important is their 3rd down offense was last in the league with better quarterbacks than him. Their passing defense 13th, 212.5 yards a game. Their rushing defense 9th, 127.4. Red zone defense 19th. Allowing touchdowns 59.6% of the time. Their 3rd down defense has been great all year. They're 3rd at 35%. Browns coming off an ugly 24-6 loss at the Bengals. Famous Jameis, they made him inactive. So DTR was 20 of 34 for 157 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. He also ran 9 times for 49 yards. WY says Finns are nothing special, Jimmy. No, nothing special. The great thing is you don't need to be special to put your balls in the mouth of the Cleveland Browns. David Njoku returned to the lineup, caught 8 passes for 66 yards. Nick Chubb broke his foot, right? So the first game was RB1 for Ford. He ran 11 times for 92 yards and a touchdown, caught 5 passes for 39 yards. But it was that first run of 60+. And, of course, then they fumbled. Donta Foreman fumbles, and then they're just screwed. The offense struggled when it mattered most. 4-15 on 3rd and 4th down, 1 of 3 in the red zone. The defense tried to keep them in the game. They held the vaunted Bengals offense to just 326 total yards. They held the Bengals to 4 of 11 on 3rd down. Martin Emerson Jr. back in the lineup, and Jamar Chase was sort of held in check. Didn't catch for 100 yards. Pass rush, 3 sacks, 8 quarterback hits. Myles Garrett became the youngest player in the NFL history to record 100 sacks. He got his 100 sacks. He also got his 12 sacks, so him and Lawrence Taylor are only players with 12 or more 5 straight seasons. Does he just put his feet up and let go? Cedric Tillman remains in concussion protocol. Why are big bets coming in on the Browns, Troy? Take it away, Dolphins-Browns.
I have a lot of problems with this game. And I think the first thing when I think about this game is the Browns' variability at home. We never know. Like randomly, they'll show up in big ways, get big wins as big dogs at the house. And it's hard to explain. The second thing is the market. Home dogs perform well in this market. And after cashing out with Cleveland, like I did last year, that was my little baby last year. I cashed them pretty much from week 1 to the end of the season and into the playoffs. I gave it all back. No, I'm just kidding. But I did bet on the Browns against the Texans in round 1. This year, I cannot get them right. I just cannot get them right. I don't know when to back them. Just things are not clear. And it makes sense because they're in tank mode this season when last year they were ramping up for playoffs, right? DTR, I mean, that's the sign that the Browns are clearly tanking. It's definitely the flag right there. They're throwing up the white flag. They're tanking. They want to lose football games. Their defense gives up explosive plays at some of the highest rates I've ever seen. And we can see it happen here, especially with the RPO. You think about A-Chain. You think about Myles Garrett, who on RPO plays gets way too far up the field, creating massive holes. Like from a matchup standpoint, X's and O's, situationally, I think it lines up for the Dolphins. I just can't get past my own mental state of I can't get the Browns right, and the database says the Browns are the right side based on what we're currently seeing.
But if DTR is going to play through injury, so Luke Burrow says my main concern would be if Jameis somehow plays. I think they've stated that Jameis is not going to play another down. So wouldn't it be Zappy?
I'll take some Western Kentucky.
Got to be Zappy. I don't think that Jameis is an issue. So what would it take for your database to flip? Dolphins to move to 7.5?
Yeah, I haven't done enough research into that, Jim. I just know that where it currently sits, and that's my bad because I'm ill prepared for this matchup, and I think partially because of my inability to bet the Browns and how they have not correlated with, historical market trends this season.
Omar Gaudet says Dolphins in the cold in December record speaks for itself. Well, it doesn't play into effect because it's not cold. I mean, I don't know how many times I got to keep saying it.
God, that makes sense. The under here, Birdie. I think that makes a lot of sense, brother.
This is great football
from a matchup standpoint, but it's great football weather, right? And I think about the big plays.
Can you confirm this for us, Troy? All-American wide receiver, 48 Fahrenheit is not cold for a football player, right? It's great.
That is ideal. That's perfect. 48, 50.
You don't overheat. You're not cold. Right. You don't overheat. Like it's perfect.
It's the ideal range. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect.
So why the hell are we not betting? We're not betting the Dolphins right now because it hasn't gone through the 7. That's the only reason.
No. I think that
there's more reasons. Hit me with reasons why I shouldn't be on the Dolphins.
There's no more reasons. I have no reasons for you. I want to say that historically the markets don't apply, but I haven't dug into the actual sample itself yet and look at those games. Like one of the games that got dirty in the sample earlier that I was looking at was the Ravens. Lamar Jackson went down and Tyler Huntley came in mid-game, right? So you have to get into the sample and see what happened in some of the cases. But there's no way you could sell me a Browns ticket right now. No way. And that can only mean one thing, Jim.
Yeah, and I think the Dolphins try for another week. They're not eliminated yet. The Broncos and Chargers are both in games that aren't, guarantees.
There's one thing I meant to ask you. So at this time, because this is the 3 p.m. slate, right? 4 p.m. Eastern. So are the games that are happening, the Broncos and the Chargers, they've already happened at this point, right?
God, that's such a good point.
Yes.
The Broncos have gone into Cincinnati and probably lost.
Yes, I agree. So exactly. So that's it right there.
Yeah, and then the Chargers also have that early game at New England.
And they're down to 4. I think Chargers and Broncos lose.
So you need one of them to lose. And if they both win.
And the incentives there.
Yeah. Interesting. I still think I want some double result in my pocket. I just the only concern I would have.
This is it, Jim. I feel like if one team loses, you're going to see a -162 like we were looking at earlier with a 7.5, 8.
You're absolutely right. I just think that they play. I think one of those teams.
And then who is the down threat? Because the Dolphins are susceptible to downfield passes, intermediate long range passes. DTR or Bailey Zappi aren't going to be able to deliver that. And even if they were able to deliver that, who's there to receive that downfield pass? Elijah Moore? I guess Jerry Jeudy. He's okay, but he's not really a threat downfield.
I'm going to spend more time with Birdie's under. These are the spots that have to be attacked this time of year. They're
And that's the problem with the sample I'm looking at is that you won't find a lot of late season sample here. Like, nothing at all, really. Nothing at all.
They must be attacked, and I will attack them. This is the time of year. I can't stress this enough. The last 2 weeks of the regular season professional sports where there's so much money to be made, and it's low-hanging fruit, it's ground fruit, it's motivation spots.
There's a game last year that happened in this market right now. Spread open 6.5, moves up half a point. Right now, that's what we're looking at. But I think it's going to move through that, right? Like, I don't know if that's what I should be expecting because there's one game that I've looked at that kind of kept me off of it. It's the Rams-Giants last year, Week 17. Rams went into New York. They won by 1 point. It was a must-win spot.
Yeah.
But that's New York. That's Stafford out in the cold. This is perfect. This is great football conditions for a Hawaiian boy.
Yeah, and again, I've been stressing it so much, but I don't think everybody realizes how warm it's going to be this weekend because we haven't even moved on to Week 17 yet. Having the show on a Monday is advantageous, even though we don't get to cap a couple games. Okay, we've done it. I know how to attack, and I'm going to attack with great vengeance. We move on to the next spot on the board, 4:25 p.m. Eastern, and this is tricky. Of course, it's off the board at some of the books that don't really limit gamblers too much. So, Cowboys, Eagles. Cowboys are 7-8, 5-2 on the road. Eagles are 12-3, 6-1 at home. Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 48 Fahrenheit, light rain, and 12-mile-per-hour winds.
What time is this game at, Jim?
This is at 4:25 p.m. Eastern.
Did it flex or something?
No, why? When was it supposed to be?
I don't know. I'm seeing noon.
What?
It's all right.
Oh wow, I'm seeing that now too. Huh. You're absolutely right. I don't know why. Let me just.
I thought I saw it earlier too. I swear I thought I saw it being a 3:00 game, but now I'm seeing it.
No, it was like I did this. I listed this here. You're right. This is switched. Something's happened. Is it because it's on Fox? No, I don't know what the. Wow. Okay, maybe it was just a mistake. Okay, well that's interesting. Okay, so this game. Sorry about that. This game is early. 1 p.m. Eastern game.
Real sketchy about that, Jim. Something's very sketchy about that. A little, maybe no hurts, maybe a little mob shit for the Cowboys. The Eagles don't really. What do they need this game for, really, at this point?
Well, also this line. We have Hurts in concussion protocol. You have Kenny Pickett with a rib injury that could be a lot worse than thought. So it's very, very possible that Tanner McKee is starting for the Eagles. The 6th-round pick in 2023. He's never played in a regular season game. And I've capped him pretty hard in the preseason. And he looked good 2 years ago. He looked terrible this year. No, it's still preseason. Birdie says Cowboys are still playing really hard. It was a really fun game last night. I just had so much fun watching it. I was through a living hell in that football game. I can even add another element of fun to it, Troy. If you could imagine us here at the place, I have the $100 bet with my dad, and then my dad's partner, she has a bet with him. She's on the Buccaneers. So she's on the Buccaneers and he's on the Buccaneers, and I'm just pointing and laughing at both of them.
So is he pre-rolling? He hedged. He hedged.
No.
Oh wait, no, he didn't.
No, because she had the first choice of the game, so she picked the Bucks, and then I won the flip for this one, and I picked the Cowboys, which he thought he was astonished by. But it was just the perfect storm for a family pointing and laughing. Or just me pointing and laughing at family, however you want to put it. Let's get into this line history. We're going to use the book that we did our poker tournaments at for our line shopping here for this one. Wow, it's moved. You can tell it's moved because now they've got this listed. This is so weird. Now they've got this listed as the final 1 p.m. game here on this site. Strange. Okay, so this total here opened up at 44.5. It dropped to 43. Then it dropped to 44.5 was look ahead. That's so important. So it opens at 43, drops to 42. Then there's a half point of buyback at 42.5. I'm a little surprised by that buyback. Let's get into the point spread here for this one. We have the Eagles minus 9.5. Now, of course, there's limits. This book's not going to let you put 10K down at this point, I would guess.
But is it going to let you put 10K? Let me see. I'm going to do a little testing on that because I'm wondering if they're allowing a lower limit on this game compared to the other games.
That would be very telling. So this opened up at 10.5, went down to 9, and then this back to 9.5. So there was a half point of buyback. This is tricky, of course. Harold Williams leading to Dallas plus 9.5. Doesn't think Hurts plays. Nutflush says just bet CD Lamb. Period. Rush will continue to feed him if he plays. Take receptions and yards. How's his shoulder going to hold up? He showed a ton of character last night. Okay, so let's get into this. Cowboys offense 10th in the league now in passing, 232.9 yards a game. They're getting more yards passing a game with Cooper than with Dak. Rushing offense 28th. 95.2 yards per game on the ground. Red zone offense, 27th. They score touchdowns 50% of the time. Their third down offense, 25th at 36%. Could you imagine I often imagine some of these plays that Cooper Rush throws. There was one play I forget who it was. I don't think it wasn't CD. I can't remember who, but he lofted it up in the air, and his wide receiver went under it. Dak doesn't do that. Dak fires, Dak doesn't have touch. Cooper Rush has touch. It's fascinating watching these two quarterbacks throw. Defensively, the Cowboys pass defense 22nd, allowing 223.7 yards per game. Rush defense 28th, allowing 135.9 yards per game. Their red zone defense continues to be the worst in the NFL. They allow touchdowns 75% of the time, but their third down defense is 4th in the league. They only allow conversions 35.2% of the time. The Cowboys were eliminated from the postseason before their game on Monday night. And they still won for the 4th time in 5 games, 26-24. Outgained the Bucs, or they were outgained by the Bucs 410 to 317. The Bucs had 10 more first downs. Bucs had 25 compared to just 15 for the Cowboys. But Cooper Rush was 26 for 35 for 292 yards and a touchdown, 0 interceptions. I mean, imagine if Jerry Jones didn't give $60 million a year to Dak and instead was paying, Cooper Rush $5 million a year. And he had $55 million to add to his football team. Well, they'd win the, I don't want to get too into it, but it would be the type of situation where if I knew a team was getting the same quarterback play, basically, I had a guy getting paid $5 million, and a guy getting paid $60 million, you have $55 million more to put in your team. It's the same reason why the Seahawks and 49ers met in the NFC conference final with Kaepernick and Russell Wilson when they were both getting paid $750,000 and they were getting $25 million quarterback play because they had $25 million to build their team. $25 million in 2017 is $60 million football-wise right now. But CD Lamb caught 7 passes for 105 yards. They got nothing out of their run game. There was this whole Rico Dowdle. I was right about Rico. Jerry Jones saying we believed in him. 3 straight 100-yard games. Well, they combined to run 20 times for 31 yards and a touchdown. Vita Vea, it was so much fun watching Vita Vea defend last night. Cowboys were just 5 of 15 on third down, 2 of 2 in the red zone. Pass rush was strong with 4 sacks.
Jimmy, I never knew how often they dropped Vita Vea into coverage.
I didn't know that they ever did until that hit. Who was that hit on?
Jake Ferguson.
Wasn't that the scariest shit you could imagine? You're out
ran into an absolute wall, a tsunami, just completely overwhelmed. My
pops thought there should be the flag, and I was like, "What? You Vita Vea? That's him being nice and soft and kind." The Bucs. Oh, he's just such a monster. Bucs went 6 of 12 on third down. We're a perfect 3 of 3 in the red zone. Jordan Lewis had an interception. And Brandon Aubrey, 2 58-yarders. Imagine he kicks 2 58-yarders. Without those kicks, we don't cash the over. Aubrey's a beast. Let's talk about the Eagles here. We can go through their statistics. I don't know if it's important because we don't know. Now, the thing is that Hurts is in concussion protocol. And Hurts is, and I have this here. Where is it? Hurts. I thought I had it all written down. I guess I don't. Maybe I thought I had it, but I remember it. Hurt. Oh, yes, I do. See, he's never been sidelined with a concussion during his NFL career. But he had one 2 weeks ago, right, Troy? He came back. Jalen Hurts. That play right at the end of the first half when his head got smashed into the ground. Now he came running out of the tunnel to start the second half.
This past week?
2 weeks ago, November 14th, when they beat the Commanders 26-18, he got a concussion at the end of the first half.
Yep.
No, it's not.
Yes, I agree.
So if that's the case, and then he had a concussion this week, he could very likely not play.
I feel like he's not playing in this situation.
I feel like that is the case as well. So obviously this is crucial information that we need. The Eagles coming off a wild 36-33 loss in Washington, the Commanders in the game overshadowed by the Hurts concussion. Kenny Pickett, 14-24 for 143 yards, a touchdown interception. And to make matters worse, he deals with a rib injury when he dove forward in that incomplete pass that was originally ruled a fumble. So do we have McKee? And if so, how do we handle it? This is just A.J. Brown caught 8 for 97. Saquon ran 29 for 115, 2 touchdowns. Devonta Smith dropped a late pass. If Devonta Smith doesn't drop that pass, you know how much money that swung for you and I, Troy? All he has to do is catch.
I don't want to talk about it because I was extremely heavy on the Eagles. Extremely heavy.
Is that the first time we've seen Devonta Smith drop a pass and fucking screw us? It's not. I mean, he's not becoming trustworthy. It's not all his fault because there's a series of things that go down in the game, but it was all his fucking fault. The Eagles were 3-16 on third down, 3-3 in the red zone. The defense couldn't get stops when it mattered most, and that's what I want you to touch on, Troy. Commanders went 9-16 on third and fourth down, 3-4 in the red zone. The pass rush was nowhere to be found. 1 sack and 2 quarterback hits. Philadelphia is 9th in the league, averaging 2.7 sacks per game, but they've only had 4 of their past 3 games. Bryce Huff we're hoping to return to the lineup. He's missed 5 games with a wrist injury. We thought he'd be back last week. Reed Blankenship, CJ Gardner had interceptions. We can't really make a bet on this game until we know what the hell's happening at quarterback. Unless you're betting the Cowboys, then you probably should move on it now. Touch on a myriad of things here, Troy. Take it away.
There's a lot to touch on with the Eagles team, in their current state and with this current matchup. And I'm trying to figure it out because I do not think Hurts is going to be in, which means we should see a number that moves towards the Cowboys. Like if you're betting for CLV, which if you looked at my CLV spots last week, I mean, I lost every spot I had CLV in, and I won every spot that I was either at market close or below market close. And it's pretty sick. Like just with the Packers today, the under, I had a 43. It ended up like you could have got 43 and a half.
I had a 42 flat.
You had a 42 flat. Right. And that's the thing though, too, is, but that's the thing. You had a 42 foot, but you never know. You could wake up one morning and that could be 41. Where you want to be.
Can you touch on this? Don't you think, because at least in NHL, it's 90% of the time for me. Don't you think that you should think that the line's going to move in your favor and you should move on things early because of the high percentage of the time it moves into your favor? Or do you think that you should wait? Because I know, Razor waits. What do you think?
It's really difficult. And I want to say it's a very jam-packed answer because there's some markets where that, like when I was talking about a few weeks ago when there was a double-digit home favorite and the market only moved one way, like it only moved towards the home team. It never moved towards the road team. So like it opened that way for a reason, right? It's never going to move against that number. It's usually going to just get bigger, and it's either public money or just injury reports, like whatever it is. So it's a jam-packed answer. I don't put as much emphasis on CLV. I know that's the historical line of thinking, but if that was the chart, like I don't know how many people you look at my CLV on all the plays I made throughout the season, removing player props, just spreads. Really, I'm just thinking about spreads at this point. I fucking dominate CLV, but those plays are not the highest ROI. What do you think about that? I know it's different for you because you say I studied my spread. You said, well, on my totals, like I don't win a bet unless I get CLV on my totals. So yeah, I mean, it goes both ways. It's so hard to say because some people measure how good a handicapper is by if they get CLV.
Exactly.
And I'm not sure that's the way to do it. I don't know. But you can get CLV in this matchup with the Cowboys, in my opinion. I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to play. I don't know what to make of their defensive performance because if you go back and watch the tape, and I was watching the game in rewind too because I had to keep going back because I was questioning the same things. On fourth down, we could not get off the field, the Eagles. And it was because Jaden Daniels kept breaking contain. And they had some really interesting looks. They threw a bunch of interesting looks at Jaden Daniels to try to contain him. Different looks with highly talented athletes from Braun to, they have their nose guard, Jalen Carter. They have Cooper DeJean. Like they had different looks, and he kept breaking contain. And seriously, three times, 2 of them on fourth down, 1 on third and long. These were all fourth and long or third and long. He broke contain, picked up a first down. So that might just be Jane Daniels being, I guess, insane, or it just shook out his way. It's hard to tell what it was because I think the Eagles graded out pretty well defensively. I know that they're a bit skewed because of the fumbles and the turnovers they caused. And I know it might have been a letdown spot in some way, shape, or form, especially without Jalen Hurts, who would have just jammed the ball down people's throats and they would have just continued to march up and down the field. That's my opinion, with some reasonable fucking foundation. I think you bet the Cowboys now. If you want the Cowboys, you get a good number. You get CLV. You feel good about it. It's just one of those feel-good type of plays, in my opinion. And I kind of want to be there with you, to be honest. But historically, I mean, this is Cowboys, Jim. I mean, do we just move on this now?
We move on it now. First half and full game. We move on it is now. I'm going to move on.
Let's go.
Yeah. All right. It's Cowboys. It is. We'll figure out the total better as we know exactly who's going to be at quarterback.
What number are you getting?
9.5 and 5.5.
9.5.
What are you getting?
I'm getting a 9.5 and a 5.5 as well.
And then, so we know that Hurts is going to play again. They're right now. The Eagles are second in the conference, and nothing can change.
They just took it down. Oh, man.
Okay. Well,
yeah, I'm going to be with you. I'm right there, Jim. I'm with you.
Nothing can change for the Eagles. The only thing that could happen is, the only thing that can happen is that the Lions lose. But if the Lions lose, the Vikings, I mean, nothing can happen. The Eagles are.
I guess what's the point of moving on it right now, though? I don't, because he's not playing, but I would
because
see
the line's going to move to 7.5. But
it won't go to 7 and the 8. I mean, it's value. 8's a pretty valuable number nowadays. I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to move on it as soon as I possibly can. But again, you have to cap these things out, say things out loud to know what it is and what it isn't. So I love the cap. Again, the total we'll have to wait and see. I don't find that appealing. Is there anything you want to add before we get into the Sunday nighter and the Monday nighter?
Yeah, I want to add Nut Flush what he just said. It's 100% nature to play like that. It's here to stay. I agree, man. Fuck. I don't know if he feels more healthy, or if he just had like the spark of God under his ass. I don't know what it was, but he looked incredible with what he was able to do. Especially on, he knew he was keeping the ball. It reminded me of Lamar Jackson, but a little bit more contained, a little bit more reasonable early in his career, man. Fuck, he looks good.
Yeah. Yeah, Jim.
He missed his throws, though, but he's young.
Look, he's going to be an absolute monster, and any Commanders fans out there, you're very lucky. Let's roll on. 8:20 p.m. Eastern. The Atlanta Falcons 8-7, 4-3 on the road at the Washington Commanders 10-5, 6-2 at home at Northwest Stadium, Landover, Maryland. Showers 46 Fahrenheit, 5 miles per hour. That's 46 Fahrenheit at 8:20 at night on Sunday, December 29th. So it's warm. Falcons. Let's not talk about the Falcons passing offense. right now because, it's different with Penix. The stats all year don't play any part. The rushing offense is 13th, 124.4 yards per game. The red zone offense 28th to 48.9%. Third down offense 14th to 38.4%. Passing defense 21st. The defense being a big problem this year, although the pass rush is being alive the last few weeks after being horrific the first 10 games of the year. Passing defense 21st, 223.4 yards per game. Rushing defense 12th at 112 yards per game. Their red zone defense is 23rd. They allow touchdowns 62.2% of the time. Their third down defense is 28th. Allowing conversions 44.4% of the time. Let's get into this Falcons Commanders spread. The Falcons are plus 4.5. That's juiced to minus 111. They opened up at 4.5 and minus 106. We've had 5 cents of movement towards the Falcons. On the total here, we have a 46.5 minus 118 to the over. This opened 46.5 minus 107 to the over. There's been 11 cents of movement towards the over. When we get to the cash flow here, we have the 43% of the tickets and 35% of the cash on the Falcons. 67% of the tickets, 62% of cash on the over. So we saw Penix at home against the worst team in the league. And now we see him on the road against a questionable defense. Falcons coming off a 34-7 victory at home over the Giants. Moved back into first place in the NFC South when the Bucs lost to Dallas. Penix was 18-27 for 202 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. I know, Troy, you've been very high on Penix, and I'm glad that you moved on the Falcons. And his numbers should have been better than 18-27 as well. They had three drop passes. Kyle Pitts bobbled the interception, so that shouldn't have been an interception either. Darnell Mooney led receivers with 5 catches for 82 yards. Bijan ran 22 for 94 and 2 touchdowns, caught 2 for 9 yards. He's the first Atlanta back to reach double-digit touchdowns since Devonta Freeman in 2016. Of course, that's when they went to the Super Bowl. The offense went 8-14 on third down, 2 of 4 in the red zone. The defense held the Giants to just 234 total yards, held the Giants at 3 of 10 on third and fourth down, and 1 of 2 in the red zone. Pass rush continues to look stronger, finishing with 3 sacks and 6 quarterback hits. Atlanta still last in the league, averaging 1.7 sacks per game, but they're averaging 3.7 over the last 3 games. We can take that further. They're averaging 4 per game over their last 4 games. Remember, they were held to a league low 10 sacks through 11 games. Interceptions from Bates and Judon both were returned for pick sixes. Only the second time in franchise history that Atlanta has returned a pair of interceptions in the game. Kenny Johnson did it himself back in that 1983 game against the Packers. I shouldn't say that game. It's like I remember that was 4. Cornerback Antonio Hamilton was injured in the first half and didn't return. Drake London hamstring injury. Morris doesn't think it's serious. Both are listed as questionable this week. Let's talk about the Commanders. They cost us a lot of money, but they also gave Nutflush a perfect week in the Capers contest, the only person to do it. Passing offense 16th, 220.9. Rushing offense 3rd, 152.7. Red zone offense 7th. Touchdown 61.3% of the time. What a monster Jaden Daniels is. Third down offense 6th, 48.6% of the time. Passing defense 4th, 185.5 yards a game. They allow through the air, not much, but their rush defense is 3rd last. They allow 137.4. Red zone defense 26th. They allow touchdown 63.6% of the time. It's been a problem all year, and their third down defense is 16th at 38.9%. What's going to happen in the biggest games of their year in the playoffs? They're going to have to outscore the opponent. Now, I know that's a simple thing to say, but their defense is not going to win them any games. So, wild 36-33 home victory over the Eagles. Daniels 24-39, 258 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 picks, ran 9 times for 81 yards. He's the first Washington quarterback since Mark Rippon in 91 to throw for 5 touchdown passes. He's the first rookie quarterback in NFL history to throw for 5 touchdowns or more and rush for 65 yards or more. Brian Robinson, Chris Rodriguez, and Jeremy McNichols combined for 15 carries and 32 yards. They were atrocious. Brian Robinson also lost 2 fumbles. Olamide Zacchaeus led receivers with 5 catches for 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. Scary Terry caught 5 for 60 yards in the touchdown. The Commanders went 9-16 on third and fourth down and 3-4 in the red zone. The defense held the Eagles to just 3-16 on third down and 2-4 in the red zone. Pass rush had 4 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. Frankie Louvu had an interception. The Commanders now have to deal with a myriad of injuries. Lattimore and Giammi Brown both left with hamstring injuries. Lattimore just missed over a month with a hamstring injury. So right tackle Andrew Wiley did not finish the game because of a groin injury. Rookie linebacker Jordan McGee left early in the fourth quarter with a hamstring injury. All are listed as questionable. Take it away for us here, Troy. We will have a Sunday night live stream here on Pub Sports Radio for Falcons Commanders. Take it away.
Yeah, I want to start with this in this game, and it's with the market, because I kind of find it fascinating. Home teams that open between 4 and 5. We look at an open right now is currently sitting at 4.5. I have no reason, based on what I currently see in this market, that I'll move outside of both those numbers. I think it's a reasonable range to assume it's going to open and close in this range. Well, what has happened historically when it does? The home team is 20-7 ATS, 22-5 straight up. The market move has been unfavorable, but now let's get a little bit deeper because there's a lot of divisional games in there. Let's get rid of divisional matchups. Now the home team 13-4 ATS. The over is 10-6. Now, if you look into when it's out of division but in conference, home team 9-3 ATS. The over is 9-2 to the over. So I know Birdie was in the chat talking about a kind of a luck under in some way, shape, or form. At least that's how I perceive it when I think about betting an under. But I don't know if I could get there, especially with some of these strong trends. The higher the total, the better. I know the Falcons' defenses looked pretty good, but you got to look at their strength of schedule. Now, what I've seen, if you watch on film, it's hard to tell what is because of improved play, because all of their pieces are there. They're no longer missing pieces in the secondary. No more Troy Anderson is playing, right? It's really hard to benchmark, where I see this total going. But ATS wise, I just read off a bunch of things that say the Commanders, but I think the Falcons are the right side in this game. They definitely are going to be more incentivized to win this game because their playoffs are still in shambles. Their playoff hopes are still in shambles. And the Commanders off that emotional high victory. I mean, to me, it looks kind of fitting to back the Falcons again, especially considering that I think Penix is a really good quarterback. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. If you could protect Penix, he's going to be able to deliver from the pocket. He could throw it to sideline, outside the hash, inside the hash. He has balls. This kid is really good, in my opinion, if he stays healthy. So I don't know. I'm conflicted because database tells me Commanders and over. I personally side with Birdie where, I think the matchup, the X's and O's, take me to the Falcons and the under. So it's really hard game for me, Jim.
I can understand why it would be a very, very difficult game.
Daniel destroy him, Jim. I had the team total, so I watched it very closely. They were 1 4th down conversion away from losing by double digits, going under their team total. It was that close. And obviously, if Hurts is in, his time of possession reduces by at least 20%. So it's.
Oh, that was the big part for me was that, Hurts would have completely controlled the game and kept Jaden Daniels off the field. But, it is what it is, and it's over now. I can understand the difficulty of trying to figure out what Penix is going to do on the road. There's a lot of fans in Northwest Stadium. Do you have any concern about Penix on the road in his first road game of his career?
Yeah, I do have concerns about Penix, but I really believe you protect the kid. He's going to be able to throw the ball. He's outdoors now. Does that make a difference? I mean, he played outdoors in college. I have no reason to believe that the Commanders, I don't know. I don't believe that the Commanders defense is very good. So I think Penix has another matchup which he could take advantage of.
All right, this is going to take more time. I don't feel comfortable with side or total in this one. Do you, I see this move to the over. Do you agree with the move to the over?
I don't agree with the move to the over, even though most of these markets actually historically for the favorite move towards the under, but it still goes over. So it's a really I'm split. I'm the split decision. You ever go to IHOP and you don't know what to order? You order the fucking split decision. You get a little bit of everything. I don't know what to take in this matchup, Jim.
Well, it's going to take more capping. I just I'm nervous about buying the Commanders high off of that victory over the Eagles. And I'm nervous about backing Penix on the road in this first game. I feel like I need the information by watching him play.
Yep.
So there's no action for me at this point. on the Sunday nighter.
Oh, I'm going to have action in this game. I'm just waiting.
And what are you hoping to see? Let's close on that. What do you
need to let that map out? I need to map that out because I haven't had the time to dig into the Sunday nighter like I do because I know these markets develop. Like I expect these numbers to change. So we shall see.
Birdie says, caution on Atlanta. They just played the worst team in the NFL. This is a big step up. Yeah, no, I agree. But the Commanders' defense does not scare me. It's their offenses. Can be Jaden Daniels. What a quarterback. Let's move on to the Monday nighter, the final game on this week 17 card. Again, there were two games that we didn't cap: Packers, Vikings, and Raiders, Saints. We needed to know what went down in the game that was just played. We are a minute and 18 seconds away from Troy and I cashing our unders. Let's roll. Monday, December 30th, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. The Detroit Lions are 13-2, 7-0 on the road. San Francisco 49ers 6-9, 4-4 at home. Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. With these 49ers, obviously they had two real bad football games, and they came back home. And I want to know, there was so many injury spot things that I wanted to know about the 49ers, and a lot of them were around Trent Williams, and they had lost to the Seahawks at home 2017. Then they went into Green Bay and got destroyed 38-10. Then they went into Buffalo and lost 35-10. And then they came home. And I should have been able to put together now, obviously they had this, team-led meeting. I think it was Diamador Lenoir and George Kittle that hosted it, and everybody got pumped up, and they beat the Bears 38-13. And I'm trying to understand what are the comparisons to this spot. Since then, they've lost to the Rams 12-6 at home, and then lost to the Dolphins 29-17. Now their season is over. They have no chance at anything, and the Lions have so much on the line. So I almost bet this. And I was like, you know what? Talk it out first. But I almost bet the Lions -3.5 and the double result. I was getting -3.5 at -105 and the double result at +110 at the time. The reason why I didn't bet it was because, of course, and this is always what your subconscious will do. Of course, I think the Lions are the play because I, like an idiot, faded them against the Bears in Chicago, and they dominated. So, of course, I see that. I think, the Lions are going to keep rolling. But why wouldn't they keep rolling? And why wouldn't their points be scored heavy? We've seen this move to the under early. It opened up at 51.5 at a pick'em. It opened up yesterday at 8:16 p.m. 12 hours later, there was a 12-cent move to the under. So that's all that's happened thus far, is we've had a 12-cent move to the under. On the spread, this opens up with the Detroit Lions -3.5. And they're also -3.5 at -103. This opened up -3.5 at +106, though. So when this opened up, you could have got the 3 with juice. Now it's probably a little too expensive unless you're taking the -3 and the double result. Let's get into the cash flow here. From a cash flow standpoint, we have 74% of the tickets and 94% of the cash on the Lions. Well, it hasn't moved that much if that's the case. You have 58% of the tickets and 48% of the cash on the under. Watching the Detroit Lions play right now, I don't know who would want to have their money on an under. Let's start with the Lions. Also, it's a little cooler than you would imagine. Now it starts at 5:15 p.m. on Monday, but it's cooler than I thought it'd be. 43 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 4 miles per hour. The Detroit passing offense, second in the league, 264.7 yards per game, while their rushing offense is sixth. They get 143.9 yards per game, and Jameer Gibbs, the man now with Monty hurt. Red zone offense, fourth, 67.7% of the time. They score touchdowns. Their third down offense is fifth. They convert 46.7% of the time. Their passing defense is 27th. They allow 240.4 yards per game. That's because they're often way ahead. Other teams need to throw the ball to get after them. The rushing defense is fourth, only allowing 98.5 yards per game. Red zone defense is sixth. They score touchdowns 50% of the time. Their third down defense is first. They allow conversions just 31.7% of the time. Troy, what's interesting is on the road, they only allow first downs 27.2% of the time. So that's by far the best in the NFL. Can you imagine a defense that gets better on the road. I mean, that's just phenomenal. Enough says, the Lions want to get some revenge and smack the Niners. Remember when I told you Dan Campbell does not know how to let the foot off the gas pedal? The team is done, and Kyle looks defeated. The Lions coming off their franchise record 13th straight win of the season. Their 13th win of the season. Obviously, they lost last week to Bills or 2 weeks ago. Lions put up 475 total yards, 7.3 yards per play. Goff was 23 of 32 for 336 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jamison Williams caught 5 passes for 143 yards, touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown caught 6 for 70 and a touchdown. In his first game without David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs ran 23 times for 109 yards and a touchdown and caught 4 passes for 45 yards. The offense went 7 of 12 on third down and just 2 of 5 in the red zone. The defense bent but didn't break. They allowed the Bears to put up 382 total yards but held them when it mattered most. Held the Bears to 2 of 10 on third down and 1 of 3 in the red zone. And the pass rush had 2 sacks and 5 quarterback hits. Big Show Pick says this game has been circled all year. Omer Gaudet says Lions are a gift here. The 49ers passing offense 7th at 235.7 yards per game. The rushing offense is 10th. They put up 130 yards per game. Now they were down to Patrick Taylor Jr. I imagine Isaac Guerrero tries to come back from the foot injury this week. Red zone offense is 25th. They only score touchdowns 51.8% of the time. They didn't have CMC Music Factory that hurt them. Third down offense, 10th. They convert 42.1% of the time. Their passing defense is 3rd. They allow just 183.3 yards per game. Their rushing defense, 15th at 121. Their red zone defense is 30th, 3rd worst in the league. 65.3% of the time they allow touchdowns. Can you imagine that? Who would have thunk that at the beginning of the year? I know they're dealing with injuries, but that's horrific. Third down defense, they allow conversions 41.9% of the time. Compare that to the Lions allowing just 31.7 and on the road 27.2. Niners were mathematically eliminated from the playoffs before they stepped foot on the field. They lost 29-17 at Miami. Purdy was 26 of 40 for 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. Like, he's got a lot to play for. He's got a contract to play for. He also led the Niners rushing game. Patrick Taylor Jr. ran 8 times for 24 yards. Despite no running game, the Niners put up 374 total yards, 6.1 per play. George Kittle caught 8 for 106. Deebo Samuel caught 7 for 96 in a touchdown. That's his first touchdown for Deebo since week 6. Niners were 5 of 14 on third down, and 3rd and 4th combined, just 2 of 5 in the red zone. The defense struggled at times. Pass rush was completely invisible. 0 sacks, 1 quarterback hit. The defense did hold the Dolphins to 4 of 12 on third down, just 1 of 3 in the red zone. Dre Greenlaw now has a right calf injury. You just can't play him. Just leave him. Let's make sure he's ready for next year. Aaron Banks dealing with knee injury. Jalen Moore, their left guard Aaron Banks with a knee injury. Their left tackle Jalen Moore left with a quad injury. They're both listed as questionable. Take it away for us here, Troy. How are we not on the Lions? The Lions double result and the over. Take it away. Floor is yours.
You touched on everything that I would like to touch on in this game. Yet the Lions off a loss in a must-win spot, with playoff revenge, with database support. What else could I do but recommend a Lions bet in this situation? It's just so ugly because my card gets so kind of jam-packed. Outside of the Cowboys, which I did add at 9.5, minus 104, I don't think I'm going to be on another dog this week, and I don't think there's any reason to be. Road favorites. I talk about these home dogs, 3.5. I'm just going to speak about it in the other terms, right? Road favorites that open and close between 3 and 6. I already talked about the 3.5, 4, that you want to fade these home dogs. But in prime time, because let's narrow it down, 12 and 4 ATS, 13 and 3 straight up. If it's out of division, 8 and 2 ATS, 9 and 1 straight up. That 10-game sample right there, all of those games are after week 10 when it's out of division. So very, very, I would say, a lot of confluence there with the database. There's only one way to look in this game, Jim. Do we buy down to a 3? Do you believe in buying down to a 3? Because guess what? Those 2 losses, ATS, both landed on 3.
I don't mind the 3 if you add the double result. I've done that. I did that with the Colts last week. I don't mind paying the juice if you're
with the Chiefs too, didn't you?
With the Chiefs, yes, I did. I did the exact same thing with the Chiefs. Exact same thing. So I don't mind it. I think it's a fine thing to do. I'm just curious to see. So because it's moved 5 more cents at 365, it's now minus 3.5, minus 110. As I told you, it was minus 105 today. But the Lions double result still plus 110. This needs to be bet now, not tomorrow. Now, Lions minus 3.5 or 3. How much would the 3 cost me here? I'll see what it
I
would
can
be.
get a 3 minus 130 right now.
Nothing wrong with that. I can get the minus 3 minus 128. And move on it now. Take the 3, the double result.
I got them both. I got the double result 110.
Now, the over, though, Troy, looks like it's slightly moving to the under. So we can wait. I don't think that needs to be bet immediately.
No, I'm not going to be looking to bet the total in this game. I feel very strong about the side.
So you think just stay completely off the total? Don't
I think so. I do.
None yet thinking Lions money line. Fantastic. We've got action, baby. That's all we need. I love it. Okay, great work. That is week 17, all 15 games. Now, of course, we missed those 2 because those teams were in play, but all of them have been broken down. Let's do a quick once-over action-wise on each game, and then we will put a bow on this. So, Troy, we both cashed the under in the Packers game. Excellent work.
Good man.
I want it all, Troy. I want it all. Troy has the Steelers plus 8.5 and the Ravens money line. I want the under in the Chiefs Steelers game, but I'm going to wait.
Jimmy, you said the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL, the most complete.
Again, I said, and I'll say this again. This is quote unquote what I said. From what I've seen this year, the Kansas City Chiefs are the most complete team in the NFL. They may not be the best, but they are the most complete team from top to bottom, and I believe that fully and completely.
Oh, you made my skin crawl with that shit, man.
Hey, look,
I get it.
We don't need to agree. It's part of the fun.
It is.
Troy on the Steelers plus 8.5 and the Ravens. I did wear this hat too for you, but also because I can't wear green because I got the green screen at home. So I got another green hat for next week. A green hat that was gifted to me from my friend Nutflush Allen. That will be what I'll be wearing next week. Troy on the Ravens minus 4. I'm moving on the Ravens double result. A sap. Then Troy's on the over 43.5 in Seattle, Chicago. I'm moving on Seahawks.
I did move on Ravens double result, Jim.
Oh, beautiful.
Minus 106.
I love it. Nutflush says, do you think the Lions will let up at any point in that game? Look, Nutflush, I've learned my lesson. The Dan Campbell, there's no let-ups in the Dan Campbell team. Troy interested in the Chargers, which is fascinating as we've seen this line move heavily towards the Patriots. I've not moved on that one at all, and I think it's tough. Bengals in the over. I still don't have asterisks, but I should have them there. That's what I want in Broncos Cincinnati. I might sit on that for a little bit. The Rams,
Seahawks. You already touched on it, but I'm sitting on Seahawks. I got to figure out the one team total. Do I want the 3?
And oh yes, that was the Saints team. Can you win that, Preston? What's going on with it? Because I think about that all the time. That bet you have. Then we have Bengals in the over. Then we have Rams double result and Cardinals team total under both spots that I'm very interested in here. But I might just take the Rams double result. I've got to sit with that a little longer. I've got to sit with a lot of this stuff. Jets in the under in the Jets Bills game at Highmark. But again, this is a very difficult game. And you know what, Troy, I was beating myself up for not being on the Jets in the first half for that Rams-Jets game. I was like, you knew they were the right play. You knew they played the Rams in the cold. And then what's the final score, 19-9?
Yeah. And it was play on the under, too, but I was concerned about the Jets' defense.
Oh, damn. Preston says they're 60 points ahead of the Giants. Of course they are. Yeah, okay. But thanks for the update, man. Colts and the under. Colts double result. Colts double result is what the asterisks I have, and the Colts in the under I have now question marks, so I've got to sit with that. But the Colts double result. Then the 8.5 for the Panthers, I've got question marks and asterisks. It means I need more time. But the over 49.5 full asterisks for Panthers Bucks. Then injury news for Titans Jaguars, and the market will tell the story. We will read the story and get paid. Then we have the Dolphins double result and the under in Dolphins Browns. Again, I'm not going to hold back from heavy action. I want the Cowboys first half of full game. I will be betting that here shortly. Falcons Commanders, I've stayed off. That's the Sunday nighter. And the Monday nighter, Lions -3.5 and double result. I did have interest in the over, but I might hold back. That is our show for today, Monday, December 23rd. Remember, our next Bankroll Blitz is next Monday, December 30th. Then we'll go back to our regular Tuesdays. But next Monday, December 30th, is our last 16-game NFL breakdown for the year. Thank you all in the chat. Nunya, Omer, sitting. How late is it in France? Fighting the good fight. Nut Flush, Allen, Jim W. Putt.
So true, Nut Flush. So true. So true what you just said about your sentiment towards KC. My buddy Tim Crowley, you see him in the chat a lot. He probably didn't know it was on Tuesday. I just noticed I didn't retweet this. I tried to retweet. He got caught in queue. But Tim Crowley, I seen him on. We were both hammering tequilas. He was like, you got to understand, like, you continue to bet against the Chiefs. This is before the game. Is right after the game. Excuse me. Man, he hammered it home. You got to include the fucking refs in your handicap with the Chiefs at this point.
God, the playoffs are going to be so much fun, dude. With all these underlying scores.
Last year I lost 50 units, damn near.
Well, it won't happen this year. Chase J, a shout out to both Nunya and Nut Flush Allen. Nunya in the lead in Cappers contest. Nut Flush off the only perfect week. A great job to both of you fellas. RVD 420, Birdie, Harold Williams. I hope I get to all of you guys because you guys mean so much to us and the show. Luke Burrow, thank you. Spenny Penny Bombs, Coin. You guys just do so much for us, and we're so thankful. This show means so much to our bankrolls.
Shane, come on. You got to make it this year, bro. You got to make it this year, dude. We'll link up like we did last year.
God, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Thank you, Aaron Gaza, my man. Thank you to all you guys. Christian Rivas, thank you. What a treat it is to be in this community. Thank you to Jose Bouquet, who works tirelessly behind the scenes. The Loshak Show will be on tomorrow, Christmas Eve. Peter Loshak Show in full effect. Troy, my man, I'm so honored and thankful to cap with you each week. I find this. I've come so far. Isn't that, I'm 45 and I feel like I've come so far in just 2 years of capping with you. That's how I know how special of a capper you are. Can you please put a bow on this show and send us into the future, my man? And to all, have a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas. And thank you for supporting us at Pop Sports Radio. Take us home, Troy.
Jimmy, I couldn't say enough about what you've done for me behind the scenes when I was just in the chat. And before I was just in the chat, I was just a fucking ghost in the background, a fly on the wall listening for years. You think I come on this show without any confidence? I had to make sure I got to that point where I was ready to be on this show. And I think I did just that, man. I put my fucking heart into this shit. I love it. I know you love it. And that's why I'm up here with you, dog. Pub Sports Radio. I say it every fucking week because I believe it. Best damn community in the industry. There's only one thing we're left to do with week 17 on the precipice. It's to go out there and to get that fucking money. Leche. Los bookmakers.